If you've ever really needed a haircut, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Folks, welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. We made it to FOMC Day. Here we go. So big event here today. We're all expecting a cut. We'll see what we actually get. And perhaps more importantly, we're going to see how the market reacts. We have some news about NVIDIA that we want to cover as well here today. NVIDIA at the pre-market lows or near the pre-market lows. We'll cover all of that. Take a look at the market, get you ready for the day. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for Hump Day or Wednesday, September 17th, starts right now. Oh, looks like we have a problem with the video assets being played again, producer. Trying to click it again. Okay. Guess Restream is going to give us trouble again. So we're just going to do a cold open here. All right, let's see if we can actually overlay the chat, though. Didn't this not work last time? Looks like it's not working again. Right, producer? The chat is not working again. Oh, man, Restream. If it was public, we would be shorting, but it's not. Anyway, I'll go ahead and welcome you folks anyway. We're not going to let Restream hold us down. Get out of here with that. Zach, good morning. Good to see you again. Hind going on volume. Hind, H-I-N-D, ticker H-I-N-D. That is going to be on our movers list, which we're going to cover. Zach also says regarding the rate cut, apparently people will be watching how the new Trump appointee will behave in the discussions. This was actually something that we discussed in happy hour, more so than how Mirren is going to behave. I'm sure that's going to be covered. You're exactly right on that. But more so than that, I think people are going to be trying to figure out from Powell's speech what the next series of cuts are going to be. And I actually think that that might be the most important part here. If 25 is already baked in and everyone thinks we're getting 25 and then we get 25, that is immediately going to shift to when are the next rate cuts coming? How many rate cuts are coming next? And I think that's one of the things that we're going to have to follow here today. Tom, good morning. Stay positive. That's Tom. Absolutely. I am going to highlight the comment here. Good morning, all. Stay positive. Another great day ahead. Positivity is a choice. Happiness is a choice. You can make that. You all can make that right now. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Tom, good morning. It's good to have you back. Brian, good morning. Welcome back. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Cad Monkey, good morning. D, good morning. EKS, good morning. EKS always bringing us a fun fact here. I absolutely love it. When the Fed cuts interest rates within 2% of stock market all-time highs, the S&P 500 has gone on to finish higher over the next 12 months, 20 out of 20 times. Pretty good seasonality. Ryan Dietrich has been saying similar stats like that for some time, EKS. I appreciate that stat. EKS bringing the fun facts every day. Ezra, good morning. Welcome back. Big Dave, good morning. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Jim, good morning. Ryan, good morning. Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning. Francis, good morning. Florida Yacht Insurance Time, good morning. Dirkus, it's good to see you again. Good morning. Neville, good morning. Bernhard, Chuck, and Jonathan, good morning. Yes, that girl. And in parentheses, yes, that girl. Good morning. Welcome back. Just passing through, good morning. Raffle, good morning. Or I think it's Raffle, or maybe it's Raffle. Good morning either way. Rooster, good morning. Good morning. Appreciate you all you do and the wonderful positive attitude. Like I just said, it's a choice, and we're going to make the better one every single day. Rooster, good to have you back. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Welcome back. Cam, welcome back. Booglog, welcome back. Good to see you again. Vesna, good morning. Welcome. Kenneth, welcome back. Topher, welcome. Jay Grant, welcome. Tennis is Life, welcome. Mama Bear, welcome. Day Trader, good morning. Whisk, good morning. Paulo, good morning. Mad Money, good morning. Ed, Blazed Rhino, and Ashok, locked in and ready to go. Good morning. JJ, good morning. Glass Half Full, good morning. Richard Judge, good morning. Dale, good morning. Buenos dias, Dale. Welcome. Forucius, the producer. Sweet name. Good morning. Welcome. All That Glitters. Good morning. Shaky. Good morning. Lambo Rolls. Good to see you again, boss. What do you got on your watch list here today? Just out of curiosity. Captain Cloudy. Good morning. And Kevin. Good morning. Let's get started with the stock market today. Oh, we don't have the asset. That's right. Forgot about that. Okay. Well, we're just going to go ahead and We're going to do it live. We're going to start here with the S&P 500 and the broader market here. We are flat to slightly red on the futures here. S&P futures down 0.06% this morning. Dow futures doing their best to hold on to green here, up by 0.04%. And the NASDAQ here down 0.0%. So relatively flat. A little bit under pressure as some of these are in the red, but the reality is we are clearly waiting for the Fed decision today. And like mentioned earlier, perhaps more importantly, the reaction to the conference and what the market actually does. That's what's going to determine where we go next and all of that. Let's take a look at some cues from last session. Sectors with the biggest losses on Tuesday included utilities, real estate, and information technology, contributing to a mostly lower close for U.S. stocks. Bucking the trend was consumer discretionary and energy stocks. The Federal Reserve's expected cut on Wednesday would be the first reduction since December of 2024, as it arrives with the stock market indexes hovering near all-time highs. So I'm going to go back, since EKS already did the work for our group, I'm going to go ahead and put that fun fact right back on the screen here. So remember, we are expecting a cut. We are right near all-time highs. Positive economic data showed U.S. retail sales rose 0.6 month over month in August, topping expectations, while U.S. industrial production rose 0.1, beating forecasts for a decline. The NAHB Wells Fargo Housing Market Index came in steady at 32. Now, in some specific company news, Dave & Buster's, ticker PLAY, Papa Lima Alpha Yankee, posted weaker than expected results for a second quarter and ended up getting hammered there. Also, President Trump arrived in Britain on Tuesday evening for his second state visit. Apparently, this is a rarity. Presidents normally only get one. And he was greeted with royal pageantry and the announcement of a multi-billion-dollar U.S. technology investment in the United Kingdom. They've been playing it all morning here on CNBC if you're into the whole royals and ceremony and all of that. Big thing here, UK really doesn't want to get left behind on AI, and it appears that the United States is going to invest and help that cause. We'll see how this all shakes out and see what it means for some of the stocks. Investors await the Federal Reserve Open Market Committee decision. That's scheduled to be announced here this afternoon. The 10-year bond yielded 4.01%, and the 2-year bond yielded 3.5%. Now, the thing to watch here, in my opinion, is going to be this 10-year yield. If this 10-year yield dips below 4% after this decision here today, I think it's possible that the market actually continues to trade higher here. I suspect that if the bonds cooperate here today, the stock market will follow. We'll see what we get. I'm not positioned for it, so I have no prediction on deck, but this is absolutely going to be one of the things that I'm watching here today. Now, let's take a look at some insights here from analysts. With the stock market near all-time highs, investors are bracing for what one expert calls, quote, possibly the most meaningful week of the year, end quote. Let me know, do you folks think that this is the most meaningful week of the year? Let me know if you agree with that. Let me know if you agree with that sentiment there. As the Federal Reserve prepares to announce its latest interest rate decision later today, a rate cut is widely seen as a near certainty, but the size of the cut and the central bank's forward guidance will be critical for near-term market movements. The consensus among experts and our show, frankly, is a 25 basis point reduction. In his weekly commentary, Professor Jeremy Siegel stated, quote, I expect a 25 basis cut with real potential for dissents on both sides, end quote. And this kind of goes back to what Zach was saying earlier about how the new board member is actually going to react, what he says, all of those things. This aligns with market sentiment, as Louis Navellier noted in his daily report that bets on a larger 50 basis point cut have faded to 2%. Siegel concurs that the bar for 50 is still high, suggesting such a move would require a significant economic downturn signal, such as a notably weak retail sales report, which wasn't the case in yesterday's retail sales. Beyond today's decision, market watchers are intensely focused on the Fed's plans. Siegel believes the dot plot, far more meaningful at this time of the year with only a few meetings left, should cluster around two more cuts by year end. This forecast is supported by market data showing that bets on sequential quarter point cuts at the remaining 3 Fed meetings are at a firm 70%. Siegel's policy view is that the Fed is behind the curve, stating that the federal funds rate, quote, should already be in the low threes, roughly 100 basis points lower than Friday's meeting, given the cooling inflation and slowing nominal economy, end quote. Ultimately, the market's reaction may hinge on the tone set by Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Navalier argues that, quote, the Fed comments on tomorrow's rate cuts will be key for near-term movements, end quote. Completely agree with Navalier on that. If Powell signals cuts are due to, quote, serious concerns about employment trends, there will likely be some downside volatility, end quote. Conversely, framing the move as getting closer to the neutral rate could spark new highs. While bears are anticipating a sell the news event, Navalier believes the established buy the dip trend will limit the damage. For equity investors, a 25 basis point cut paired with modest tariff effects would constitute the dovish tilt equity investors want. That is according to Siegel. Now, that is a perfect time to go back to the chart here. So let me go back to Pro. Let's load up the chart for the SPY, and let's talk about why the sell the news event combined with the buy the dippers is absolutely probably the base case that we should be watching for here today. So here's a look at the daily chart of the SPY. Recently, the most recent move over several sessions here has been a recapture of the 20-day and a slow drift higher and move away from that moving average. Remember, the 20-day has really kind of shown us the trend pretty much all year here today, and going back mostly to last year as well. We've kind of petered out here near all-time highs, as we've already talked about. It's kind of going sideways here for the last three sessions. So in the setup here about a potential sell the news event, looking at the chart here, it looks perfect for that scenario. A sell the news event gives us very, very clear downside targets here on the SPY. The first one being that 20-day moving average. That's at 648.72. And beneath that, we have the 50-day moving average, and that is slightly above the low from September 2nd. That value at 639.10. So right here, if we do get a sell-off, even if it whether it's a one-day sell-off or whether this is a multi-day sell-off, I think the two key levels that we're going to have to watch to see if the market holds are going to be these two. 648, you can call it 648.75 if you want, but the actual value is 648.71. And then you can call it 639 if you want, but the actual value there is 639.10. These two values represent our clear downside targets if we do, in fact, get that pullback. Now, the one thing that I do want to try to get across for the group here, I don't know how many of you are planning to actually trade the print itself here today or the press conference here itself. I'd like to know how folks are positioning. Are you waiting for the rate decision to come out and then maybe just kind of playing the coattails of that decision, whatever the market does, up, down, or both, frankly, or are you pre-positioning for this? Do you anticipate something specific to happen, maybe a repricing lower or higher? I'm just curious where everyone sits for the purpose of trading. I think we've discussed where people are in terms of how much the rate cut should be and all of that. I'm curious to know what the trade is for you folks on this. Okay, the other thing we wanted to talk about was NVIDIA. So since we're at the chart, we'll just start with the NVIDIA chart. Here's what this looks like on the daily. Lower than all-time highs, but marginally lower than all-time highs. Really just we've been kind of sideways since the end of July here, beginning of August. Now, if we zoom in closer, still on the daily chart, though, you'll see that the gap down, we're about to talk about the news catalyst for, the gap down here has actually taken us below the 20 and below the 50. And you'll also notice that we have a gap to fill down here at about 170 to 171. That area in there fills this gap. I would imagine, just kind of given the pre-market reaction here today, I would imagine that this tries to fill ahead of the Fed meeting here today. I would imagine that we would carry some of this weakness into the regular session. And I suspect that traders are probably waiting for the Fed decision to pass before making any type of bets on things like NVIDIA. That's just my guess. I could very easily be wrong. But what I would look for is a gap close here to the September 9th candle. The value there, again, about 171, 170 to 171. And then we'll see what happens with the Fed. We'll see where NVIDIA goes next. But a key break here under the 50. The last time we did this was not long ago. It was September 2nd, and we gapped down beneath the 50. It really took us 6 sessions before we gapped back above it. We stayed below the 50 for 6 sessions. But we really didn't break down. It actually, given the change in trend, NVIDIA actually held up pretty well. It'll be interesting to see what it has in store for us today. Now, the news catalyst here for NVIDIA, to get you caught up on this, China has banned its leading technology companies from procuring NVIDIA chips for artificial intelligence. NVIDIA stock is falling here. You know, I didn't go to that. We can go back to the NVIDIA chart and take a look inside. Basically, 171.67 was your low print from the impulse move lower here. We've traded up off of those lows, but we have not filled the gap. And actually, looking inside here, we've made a series of higher lows on the 5-minute time frame. The Cyberspace Administration of China has instructed major tech firms, including ByteDance and Alibaba Group, to halt their testing and orders of NVIDIA's RTX Pro 6000D, a chip specifically designed for the Chinese market. That report comes from the Financial Times. This directive follows earlier guidance from Chinese regulators focusing on NVIDIA's H20, another China-only chip that's widely used for AI. The ban comes after Chinese regulators determined that domestic chips have achieved performance levels comparable to those of NVIDIA models used in China. We'll see if that's actually true. China is exerting pressure on its tech companies to strengthen the country's domestic semiconductor industry and reduce their dependence on NVIDIA to compete in the global AI race, particularly against the U.S. Gosh, that sounds oddly familiar. After the ban, companies instructed suppliers to stop chip-related work, advancing efforts for an independent semiconductor supply chip rival to the U.S. in AI. This ban is part of China's broader strategy to boost its domestic semiconductor industry and reduce its reliance on foreign technology. This move is seen as a response to the American export ban on NVIDIA's most powerful products to China, which was implemented during the tenure of former President Joe Biden. Earlier this month, a top Chinese government advisor warned that Asian nations risk becoming dependent on U.S. GPUs, which powers platforms from ChatGPT all the way to DeepSeek. He urged the country to develop domestic chips that enable artificial intelligence. This ban comes amid a deepening crisis for NVIDIA in China. The company is facing an antitrust probe from Chinese regulators who have alleged that NVIDIA violated the country's anti-monopoly law. This, coupled with policy changes from Washington, has created significant uncertainty for NVIDIA in the Chinese market. Now, meanwhile, Jack Ma has reemerged at the center of Alibaba Group as the company intensifies its push into artificial intelligence. This move could potentially strengthen Alibaba's position in the Chinese semiconductor industry as the company seeks to develop its own AI chips. All right, so as promised, let's go back to the NVIDIA chart here. We'll take a look at the 5-minute. This is what I mean. This 172 area, it was actually 171 and change. This represents the pre-market low. You can see the impulse move took us right there. We actually tried to test lower here in the pre-market, albeit on smaller volume. We did try to test lower here and couldn't go lower, so we'll see if that gap actually does get filled here today. And then the other chart that I wanted to take a look at here, just because of the story that was mentioned there, is BABA. This has actually been a huge winner recently. Shout out to anyone that has been trading Alibaba. Oh, and look at this. Look how proud we are. We now get to extend this trend line out, and whim, bam, boom, we now have a target for BABA. If we look at that here today, that target right up around 185. We'll see if that changes if Alibaba continues its really nice run. Look at the chart here on Alibaba. Look at the fib levels that we have as well. We're going to keep this on here and extend this as Alibaba moves into some of those price ranges. So looking pretty good here. If you were in that trade, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Progressive G is asking about AMD with no other context. Might as well take a look at that chart here. Let me reset it so it's a little bit easier to see. Here's what AMD looks like. Now, this is not front and center given the news here for NVIDIA. It's more of a secondary or tertiary play on the things that we're talking about. AMD clearly trying to catch up in the AI race. They've actually made some headway, although still really not comparable to NVIDIA yet. As far as the chart goes, actually really love that it appears AMD has held 150 as a support. We had a wick down here on July 22nd that turned into somewhat of a hammer candle. And then we had something similar here on September 8th. Now it looks like we're actually trying to get above the 20 and the 50, and so far we've not been able to do that. AMD down 1.5% here. This is probably with the rest of the market. You can see it's just a little weak here in the pre-market. We'll see if we make a red-green move on that, or if we end up, trading higher, or maybe even just kind of staying beneath these moving averages. And curious to know if there's a trade here on AMD. Would like to listen to that, or all of the different trading ideas. But I think this is still, again, as I mentioned, kind of secondary or tertiary. You know what? That actually is reminding me, though. Let me really quickly take a pause here before we go on with some of the news. I did want to cover some things from the morning update. We talked about the broader market here today. We already know about the economic data. It's all about the Fed here today. So there's really nothing that we have to cover there. But it is worth mentioning that we are expecting several IPOs here today, with one of them being pretty big. StubHub priced last night and is going to be open for IPO here today. It's going to be open for its trade here today. Now, this priced between 22 and 25, and if I recall, this was about midway in the estimate. So I'm not sure this one was overprescribed or anything like, or oversubscribed, excuse me, or anything like that. Nonetheless, though, pretty popular name. StubHub, ticker STUB. That was, I wonder how they came up with that one. Ticker STUB is starting trade here today. I am curious to see if any of you want to trade this. And I'm definitely interested in the trade angle on this, but I'm also, just for my own knowledge, I'm interested in whether or not people like StubHub. Is this something that you frequent? Do you use this often? Do you like it? Or do you feel like you're just being gouged, especially if you're looking for NFL tickets? Grab Holdings. This got a hold from HSBC. Grab's actually been on a little bit of a run. And Ryan, ticker RYAN, Ryan Specialty Holdings, got a new rating here at overweight with a price target of 60. Nice to see Ryan trading higher here by 1.43% in the pre-market. So let me know. Let me know if you want a stub. The other IPO that's IPOing here today is Water Bridge Infrastructure. This is ticker WBI. This priced between 17 and 20. All right. So there you go. Brim says this is going to the moon. Well, there you go. Let us know what the trade plan is on all of that. Okay, let me really quickly preview the Fed. Then we'll talk to Tim Melvin here today, everyone's favorite guest. The Federal Reserve is expected to cut rates on Wednesday at the Fed's Open Market Committee meeting for September. This would mark the first rate cut since December of last year. President Trump has called for a rate cut for multiple months and could get his wish on Wednesday, with the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell expected to announce a rate cut of at least 25 basis points. The last cut came in December, which was also a 25 basis point cut. Some experts point to a potential 50 bips cut, which could be the biggest since September of 2024. CME Fed's watch tool indicates a 96.1% probability of a 25 basis point rate cut on Wednesday, and a 3.9% chance of a 50 basis point move. Prediction market Kalshi shows similar expectations, with a 94% chance of a 25-point cut and a 5% chance of a larger reduction. Kalshi places odds of no rate cut at just 3%. That's the one I think that would really send the market spiraling. I think if we get a 50 bips cut, there would be some Fed watchers and people that look through the data that say, there's probably some more weakness and panic out there, which is why they chose to go 50 instead of 25. That might spook the market, perhaps after an initial pop, frankly. And then on the flip side, if there's just no rate cut when everyone's expecting it and it's already been priced in, that too is going to represent a downside risk, although I don't think we're going to get either of those. The Fed's decision comes with inflation and unemployment and consumer spending all showing signs of worry. After Wednesday's rate cut decision, the focus is likely to shift to the upcoming FOMC meetings in October and December, where additional moves, or the first cut of 2025, could be on the table. Markets will also watch the dot plot for Fed projections on growth, inflation, unemployment, and the path of future rate cuts. Now, a couple of key insights here. Comerica Bank chief economist Bill Adams expects a 25-point rate cut on Wednesday. The economist said that With the expectations for the rate cut, the dot plot could be of particular interest. Quote, if Chair Powell repeats the cautious guidance from his speech at Jackson Hole in August, markets could abruptly reprice their aggressive pre-meeting rate cut expectations, end quote. Louis Navellier of Navellier and Associates warns that a 25 basis point rate cut could see President Trump, quote, continue to bash, end quote, Chair Jerome Powell. Quote, President Trump has been saying that he expects a big cut from the Fed on Wednesday. Specifically, Trump said, quote, I think you have a big cut and it's perfect for cutting. End quote. That comes from Louis Navellier. Navellier said that the smaller rate cut could come due to retail sales reported on Tuesday that showed growth of 0.6 in August, higher than the consensus estimate of 0.3. The August retail sales showed 9 of 13 categories up, which could indicate healthy spending. Freedom Capital Markets chief market strategist Jay Woods, who was on very early on CNBC today. Jay Woods does a great job, by the way. Questions whether the stock market is rallying too quickly ahead of the Federal Reserve decision. And this is the Sell the News event that we've kind of all been talking about here. Quote, has a rate cut been baked into the recent rally? End quote. And we think so. With stocks hitting all-time highs, Woods said a key question is if a 25-point cut would be enough for the market or if a 50 basis point cut is needed to continue the momentum. I believe, quote, I believe we could see excessive volatility after the press conference, and this is more likely to be a sell the news event. Any sell-off should set us up for a rally later in the year and pick up steam as we head into the final earnings season of 2025. The quick facts that we gave earlier regarding the performance of the market and what that leads to in the back half of the year and it being positive, EKS 100% hit rate on the stat that you gave out earlier, very similar to the stats Ryan Dietrich has been giving out, and that actually matches what Jay Woods is saying here. Woods said another area to watch would be whether the Fed's biggest concern is unemployment or inflation. The market strategist also noted that any dissent from Fed members advocating for smaller or larger cuts or no cut at all could be interesting. Quote, it will also be telling to see if Jerome Powell still has solid consensus among his peers, end quote. And from what I understand, Jay Powell in his tenure actually has the least amount of dissents. I have not verified that myself. That was something that I heard on CNBC earlier today, but interesting nonetheless. Woods also highlighted the dot plot, which will show where Fed members want rates to be at the end of 2025. Quote, there's no wiggle room here. Their take at the end of 2025 essentially means this is where it will be. So the answer to 1 or 2 more cuts should be revealed by the dot plot. Okay. Good stuff. We will see. Let me get back over to Pro and let's get on one of our favorite guests that we bring on here. Let's bring on Tim Melvin. Oh, you know what? We can't because the video bumper thing isn't working. I just tried it again. No video played. So guess what? It's going to be a cold open for our friend Tim. Tim, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Sorry we couldn't do like England is doing and get you on with all of this fanfare here, but we're going to have to make the best of it, I'm afraid.
Well, I think that I'll just muddle through. Happy Fed Day, everybody. This is going to be, as Ryan was alluding by reading the comments, this is going to be one of the more interesting Fed decisions we ever had. And look, HBO executives, newsflash, I have a plot for you. Okay, we're going to take a president and a Fed chair who hate each other. Then we're going to have one Fed official resign so you can appoint somebody. But instead of actually making an appointment, you're going to have one of your guys take a leave of absence and go be a temporary member of the Fed board. Then we're going to have the president try to fire one member of the Fed, but courts aren't going to let him do it. So we're going to have all these people with varying agendas into the room. This is better than Succession, Ryan. This is just a very cool setup. I cannot wait to see the minutes. Having said that, 25 basis points is kind of baked in here.
Yeah.
The numbers, if you just do all the various formulas that they use for interest rates, the numbers suggest we don't need a cut. All right. But the job, and I put it yesterday, the inflation rate is calling the tune, which says no cut, but singing harmony is that disastrous string of jobs reports that we saw. So I think we see 25 basis points. 50 will actually panic the market here, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. I feel the same thing. I think if we get 50, there are going to be people that look through that and think this actually might be worse than people have been alluding to, and as a result, we might panic here. Let me ask you about the sell the news thesis that seems to be out there. Where do you stand on that?
Look, this is, you got some folks who really think that we ought to cut 300 basis points like the president wants. You got others who don't want to cut. Yeah, there could be some sell the news in here because everybody's trading on momentum. And a lot of people are looking for that 50 basis point cut. Remember, a lot of short-term money, new money in this market that's never actually been through. The reason Fed, by the way, Powell has less dissent than anybody else is because we went several years there where you really couldn't dissent, right? We were at zero rates and we were going to stay at zero rates. So it's going to be fascinating. I think we get 25. Everything else will be data dependent, and it depends on what inflation does. And I told you guys at the start, some of you laughed at me, told me I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. You can't do what we're doing with trade policy and not have mild to moderate stagflation. It's like not possible. Having said that, it's not the end of the world either. So I think we get 25. We may not get another cut after that, but we'll see.
Interesting. Okay, so you think maybe one cut, 25, and then we'll see how the cards fall in 2026. Okay.
I'm going to give you guys real quick one thing, right? Then we're going to jump into what we want to talk about. I just wanted to add this stuff this morning.
Please.
If you want to know where interest rates should be, I'm going to give you the formula. Now, there's academic papers out there with 19-page formulas and, practically rocket science. You don't need it. Go back and take the 43-year average of real short-term cash interest rates since 1982. You don't even have to do the work. I've done it for you. It's 1.24%. Now, add in the inflation rate. It's 2.9. That was the headline Fed number, right? That is 4.14. That's actually just a tick below where Fed funds rates currently trade. So we probably don't need this except for that jobs market. So having said that, Ryan, let's jump in. I think we wanted to talk about Benzinga Edge this morning.
Yeah, we sure do. So, all right, I know we normally talk about studies and what's going on here, but Tim, we often get asked for, stocks and stock picks and all of that. So let's actually talk about Benzinga Edge. We always have the advertisement up here at the top of the stream with the QR code so you can get started on this. We've got Lucas here in the chat, although I think he's having some problem here. Producer, I don't know if there's an issue with this, but maybe if you can reach out to Lucas. Lucas joins us for a lot of our webinars. He's here to answer questions for you and all of that. We'll give his contact information as well. But Tim, where do you want to go here with Benzinga Edge?
Well, first off, let's just start with stock ideas. I think that was, everybody wants stock ideas. You want good stock ideas. So just look, we're going to start here at the latest trade ideas. Okay. Under the radar, 18 Asian stocks that offer big value. That's me. Okay. That's me going through the Asian stocks because Asian markets are much more attractive than the U.S. markets on a valuation basis. They are now right now they're more attractive than Europe. They weren't for a while, but they really are. Asian markets are cheap in here. There's a lot of bargains. There's a lot of great companies. In Japan, in particular, we have a new corporate governance policy in place that's very supportive of stock prices. Now, this is Asia ex China because we don't do a lot with China in this. But there's 18 solid stock ideas right there. Okay, then you have alpha buying. That is where I look at the world, and I'm going to give you situations where there's buying that indicates the high probability for future returns. Okay. Now that's not just insider buying, although there's a lot of insider buying in that. Okay. But that is institutional buying. That's activist buying. That's hedge funds buying. That's private equity buying. anywhere we see buying of publicly traded securities by people who have great track records of making money, we bring those ideas back to you. So it's not just insider buying, although that's a important component of it. And then we also do the under the radar, where we look for stuff that was the Japanese, the Asian stock one. We're looking for stuff that Wall Street's not paying attention to and bringing it to your attention. There's a whole bunch right there of, there's over 20 stock ideas for you to start with. But then, Ryan, I'm going to let you kind of drive the bus on this particular part, but you can access the rankings in Benzinga Edge. So if you load in your model portfolio, you can see the growth, momentum, value, and quality rankings, and even the trend indicators on all these stocks. And right there, I mean, you can see Intrepid Potash is in a confirmed downtrend. You don't want anything to do with that. Apple's in a confirmed uptrend. Okay, that's a lot more interesting. Las Vegas Sands, and that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the medium and long-term trends are still going up, up, but there's a short-term downtrend. So now you want to look at that, and is momentum rolling over in that? You may have something you want to sell or consider shorting.
Really quickly here, just about these rankings. First of all of this is tied together. So if you ever created a free account at Benzinga just to read news articles or create watch lists, those are likely saved and they're automatically loaded here. So what this did is this pulled one of the main watch lists where I kept adding tickers that I was trading or looking at every day. And it's basically just giving that information here. The other thing about this, Tim, you've barely talked about this. You've mentioned several articles and the rankings, and you've already come across 20 plus trading ideas from these. That's a phenomenal amount. We get asked all the time about getting new stocks to trade, trading ideas, the whole 9 yards. This subscription is $79.
Right.
It's not even an expensive one. That's one of the reasons why we're showing it here. We talk about Pro every day on the show. Pro might fit for some people, might not fit for others, might be a little too expensive, especially for somebody new. But Edge, not the case. $79. This also, by the way, has Mark Petrino's Stock of the Day articles in it as well. I know he comes on Friday. So, all right. What's next here, Tim?
Well, let's take a look at, let me get back to where we were, Ryan. I was trying to pull something up. Let's go with some stock ideas and some, in the Benzinga system, we offer a lot of different newsletters and premium products, and they're all very good, especially mine, I think.
I would concur, by the way. I would concur.
Shameless plug.
That's okay.
For Trade Alerts. But what if I told you there was a couple of newsletters that are top performing newsletters capable of delivering massive returns? And I happen to know that they're authored by one of the smarter guys in the business. Shameless plug that time. How about that, huh?
The guy he's talking about is Tim Melvin.
Right. So there's two portfolios here that I designed specifically for Edge, right? Because it's the gateway drug, if you will, to bigger and better things. The first one, and the core idea comes from an interview I saw with Ray Dalio of Bridgewater. And that's the easy income portfolio. I'm going to cover this one quickly because I do want to touch on it, Ryan. Dalio once said that the holy grail of investing was to have 15 different sources of income that were non-correlated. Right? Now, I have not quite achieved full non-correlation. Get down, cat. Can't come over here. Goodbye. But we're close. All right. This portfolio contains 15 different income producing securities. And it has a current yield of 9.5%. And guys, we've got preferred stocks, we've got mortgages, we've got arbitrage strategies, we've got oil and gas infrastructure, we have European bank risk transfer securities, we have Indonesian, Australian government bonds, Asian nation government bonds, we have oil and gas royalties, we have BDCs, we have private credit, we have high grade, high yield. There's all sorts of different strategies in here that produce high rates of income that respond to different economic and market forces. So while some stuff is zigging, other stuff is zagging. So you get really muted volatility. Now, because it's me, all of this stuff is bought at a discount to what we think the underlying value is. Uniquely to market conditions now, not all of it, but a lot of it is going to have a major positive response to a lower interest rate cycle. And again, I think we get 25 basis points and no more this year.
Mhm.
I could be wrong about that. If the president gets his way and has more appointments to the Fed board, then, or people just change their mind on this that are members of the Fed, you could have a whole interest rate cut cycle kicking in here of 4, 5, 6 cuts. That'll be a massive positive for a lot of the securities in this portfolio. So the one thing that we know, Ryan, is that
Really quickly here, Tim, I also wanted to mention, because this is important, and I actually hear this from customers, both from Benzinga Pro and also from some of the other subscriptions. Jacob, when we do our joint training session, he answers these questions all of the time. One of the things that sets this portfolio apart from some of the others that you might find out there is there's some pretty basic instructions. We got a question on one of the webinars we did. Well, it's great that you're giving me 15 different tickers, but how do I actually allocate that? How do I actually use some of the funds? And you actually give instructions here on how to do that. But perhaps even more importantly than that, you're also going to get a monthly update to this portfolio. So if there's anything that you have to adjust, Tim's going to help walk you through that. Again, you do not get this type of service at this low of a price point anywhere else.
Correct. So now keep in mind that the long-term return of the stock market is, depending on which decade you look at, somewhere between 7 and 10%. Okay. This has a yield of 9.45. It has the credit analysis done on all this stuff. There's no junk or garbage or, stuff, default risk or any of that garbage in here. All right. So it's all just going to crank along. It might go up, it might go down. You got a fairly muted volatility, and you're going to be collecting a return that's long-term, a little bit in excess of indexes, and you're going to collect it in cash. So it does not get pulled away from you if we get a market decline. It's in cash. You can reinvest it, spend it. You can reinvest some and spend some. You can just spend it all and say, the heck with it. My kids didn't need an inheritance in the first place. So, you've got lots of options when your return's coming to you in the form of income. Now, the next one is, and this is a portfolio that I'll say that I have regrets about not just charging a ton of money for this one, because I could. All right.
Okay, but there's no going back. We've made a deal.
No going back. No going back. Right. I'm not going to pull it or anything like that. This is better than 90% of the newsletters that people are charging hundreds of thousands of dollars for. Okay. If all you ever did was this, and this, I'm costing myself money here, but that you would be happy with the returns. Now, most of you won't, because it's boring, but so it's called the Perfect Stock Portfolio. And our legal department kicked a little bit at that name. Oh, you can't call it the Perfect Stock. I said, well, I actually didn't. Ben Graham used this title for the stock selection techniques that we're putting in here. All these are stocks trading below tangible book value, right below the net asset value, net of all debt, preferred, and other obligations, a discount to that value. Sometimes you consider that a proxy for the liquidation value of the corporation. Very conservative balance sheets, plenty of cash, and they pay a dividend. That's it. The other thing that I did with the Perfect Stock Portfolio, and by the way, the back tested results on this show returns of about 20% over 25 years. Okay. That's really good, folks. That's with no leverage. Okay. And again, what I did here was I said, no restrictions. We're going global. Right. So there are stocks in here from Africa, from most, at EKS, I'm going to get to that question in just a second, because that's a great question. So
he's got a ton of good ones. He's loaded up with good questions.
Okay. So I will touch on the DCF question here. Okay.
Perfect.
So looking at this portfolio year to date, it's up 31%. Okay. That's open positions. Now we have closed 4 positions so far, and we close a position when they get to a premium of tangible book value that's at a certain preset level, and we rebalance this, at least quarterly. a little more frequently if something amazing happens. But our average close trade so far in 2025, it's 195%. Okay.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Remember I told you that the European banks are outperforming the Magnificent Seven over the last couple of years.
I remember you being the first person to tell me that, as a matter of fact.
We closed Commerce Bank at a 300% gain just a little while ago, earlier this year that we bought it. We just started this thing last year, right? And we're already just minting money. And when you look at the portfolio, because I put no restrictions from this, normally I hate China. We have some China. So we've got Singapore, we've got Macau, Canada, Japan, and I'm just reading from the list here now. Denmark, the United States, Hong Kong, more Japan. I'm just kind of looking for Germany, Spain, Malaysia, Switzerland. So we've got companies from literally all over the world in here. The European stocks and Japanese stocks have really been leading the way in this. China stocks, by the way, have also done pretty well. We've got companies that make jewelries. We've got semiconductor companies. We've got companies that make car and truck parts. We've got energy. We have coal. I always love a good, that's how you know it's a real value portfolio. It's got coal. We have coal. We've got real estate. We've got entertainment and leisure goods. We've got oil and gas. We've got shipping. We've got cars. I'll just throw away a free one. Porsche is in here. We've got supermarkets. We've got packaged goods. We've got fresh fruit. We've got media. We've got home builders. We've got utilities in emerging markets, by the way, which is one of my favorite investments of all time. So this is a really widely diversified portfolio, both on location, and it's diversified across industries. And it's not because we set out to do that. If all we had come up with when we ran the screens was banks, this would be all banks. If it was just Venezuelan banks, unlikely, since very little from Venezuela trades here, it would be just Venezuelan banks. This is based 100% quantitative, based on the metrics that we use, not on my opinion of any of this. Okay. And by the way, yes, before I get the question, yes, there's gold. Okay. You happy?
Yeah, I know there are a lot of folks out there that will be happy about this. Really quickly here, I just want to address a couple of things before you get to that question. Lion here saying, Ryan, honestly, everybody needs to do their own due diligence. Tim gives us the foundation and a list of stocks to take a look at. Do your DD and choose what fits your investment needs. I completely agree with this, Lion. This is something that has been a core tenet of what we've tried to do here. We've tried to empower each individual to do their own research. The reality, though, is that everyone is at a different level in their career journey, and some people need help. Now, what we do here, 13 and I, on a regular basis, we're doing a lot of kind of quick trading here. A lot of the things are risky. We tell you they're risky. What this is this is going to be a lot easier to actually execute. There's going to be less. You have to do less active managing. You're going to have some type of guidance to let you know the why you're doing what you're doing. It's designed to help you, and it's designed to build gains over the long term. It's my view that every day trader, every single one out there, no matter how successful they are, should also have a long-term portfolio and a long-term view that does different things. Tim's telling you how to diversify that portfolio, how to generate income streams off of that portfolio. And again, it's extremely cheap. Reaching financial freedom. Can I buy those stocks you were talking about on Robinhood? I would imagine a lot of these, they might not be
big caveat to that, because I saw that question and I want to address it. I'm not sure. I don't use Robinhood. There's a lot of five-letter tickers in here. There's a lot of OTC stuff. I'm not sure how Robinhood does on OTC, but check. I can tell you that I use Schwab for my biggest accounts, and it's not a problem.
Yeah, same. Me too. I actually own a lot of the stocks that Tim has off of both of these portfolios. I too use Thinkorswim, which is now owned by Schwab. Excuse me.
And by the way, if you've got relatives, parents, friends that are like super conservative, they want to earn index-like returns, but they don't want the risk of owning stocks at these prices, you need to point them at the perfect stock portfolio. because that is a really strong alternative to a stock index where you're collecting lots of returns in cash from lower risk income producing, primarily ETFs and closed end funds in there.
Yeah, I've been doing that. Actually, some of my friends that don't want to be active, they think, well, Ryan, how do I do this in a way where I don't have to necessarily be that active? The very first thing I tell them to go is to go get Edge. It's not going to cost you a lot. You've probably wasted more money on something else. This is going to help you make that money back. And it's going to give you kind of a long-term approach for that.
Right. And so you've got access to the rankings, which, Ryan and I talk about. And frankly, I played a huge role in developing those. Most of the ranking systems are based on my research. So you've got access to the rankings for identifying value opportunities, momentum, quality, and growth opportunities. And you can mix them together in all kinds of cool ways. And you can see how your watch list stacks up. And that can help you refine your stock selection process. You've got stock ideas from myself and from other members of Benzinga staff that can help you generate ideas for more due diligence. And you've got, look, these newsletters should be at least hundreds of dollars. At least hundreds of dollars. They're not. They're in here to get you to come in here and try Edge. And by the way, both newsletters have full commentaries every month. We just did them yesterday, as a matter of fact. So they both should be posted.
David was asking here, how often is the list updated? Do you have an update cadence, or can you estimate that at least? I know you have the monthly update, but how often is the list itself updated?
The list is in the Benzinga research platform mode. So, I mean, the pricing and all that should be updated every day. The list does not change that often. It is a buy-in in both cases. We try to rebalance along the lines of quarterly in the perfect stock portfolio, unless, like was the case with Commerce Bank, it just went too far too fast. It's like, hey, okay, it's time to take that off the table.
Yeah.
So that may do some inter-period. Generally speaking, we're trying to go for quarterly. So like next month, we would be looking at a rebalance time frame. And in the perfect stock portfolio, well, we send them out on the easy income portfolio, but there's no changes in that. And I don't plan on any changes for a long time, barring something massive. We do send out the stock reports. We go ahead and I pull those together for you and I send them out so you know what you own. Okay. So
awesome.
These are, two great newsletters included, ranking systems included, all this other great commentary and source of news and ideas and vetted stock picks and things. Frankly, when you look at alpha buying, and I can only talk about what I write, okay? But when you look at alpha buying, you look at under the radar, you're seeing stuff you're not seeing anywhere else. You think about the various other places you may click around and look at end of the day. Did anybody else give you 18 Asian stocks you've never heard of that are poised for growth?
No.
Right? Or, 3 insider stocks with huge insider buying that are trading at very low enterprise value to EBIT multiples.
Hell, they weren't even giving us Sezzle when you were first talking about that, which ended up being a home run.
Sezzle or LEU or, any of the, any of the other stocks that we talked about. And I always remember that because when I first came on, there was a lot of skepticism. Why is this stock guy on our trading show?
Yep. But, and then the long-term gains and some of the momentum plays started to hit, and it became very, very clear what was going on there.
So I just wanted to plug Edge. It's, if especially if you're newer to the markets and you're like, okay, I like this trading thing, but I know I need to do this longer term thing.
Yeah.
This is your place to start to look and do the research and gather ideas and track your own portfolios on 4 very important measures using the ranking system. So it's one of the most valuable tools for investors that we've put into Benzinga. And, $79, right? These days, that's barely a date night at McDonald's in a movie.
Sorry, I shivered when you said date night at McDonald's. I got the chills. Just because I can't imagine doing that. Also,
right. We don't all live big like Ryan Falloon.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, that's okay, Jim. Real quickly here. I also get off. I asked. Let me try that again. I often get asked about analyst ratings. These are very, very important for people. It's worth mentioning. Analyst ratings are also a part of this. You actually don't need to go to Pro all the way to pro. So again, if this is something where you're kind of on the fence or you have kind of a limited budget, definitely seems like Edge is a really good place to start. There's a lot of different tools in here that can really kind of help you out.
Okay.
Tim, you want to take EKS's question here?
I do. Discounted cash flow. I like discounted cash flow. Okay. I use it. We look at it. It's not an end all be all. Here's the biggest problem with discounted cash flow analysis. We taught it to everybody. Right? It's when you go to college and you take a business class and you take a stock class, they teach you DCF. And everybody runs everything through these discounted cash flow filters. That is a great rule of thumb. See my thumb? Rule of thumb. All right. You can get kind of a baseline. And if you run that and you do it with a gram number calculation and put them together, I think you can get a very rough sketch out of valuation. However, everybody's using it, so the information is not that valuable. The other problem with discounted cash flow analysis is that it's most useful in an arm's length transaction where I end up controlling the cash flow, right? The business is worth the amount of cash flow that can be taken out of it. Valid statement. You and I are outside passive investors. We cannot take the cash flow out of it. Only the insiders or control investors can do that. So DCF is far more useful for control investors than it is for you and I. It's a rule of thumb for you and I. My favorite valuation metric, I'll run them down. I am still absolutely addicted to tangible book value. And it's for it's for two simple reasons. It's intellectually attractive. And it's how I learn. B, it works. If you go in and you look at small and micro cap stocks bought with solid credit profiles at a tangible discount to book value not only didn't stop working, it never stopped spanking the market's rear end. It is my method of choice. I think everybody should do lots more of it. They don't listen to me. The other metric that I like is EV to EBIT, enterprise value before earnings. Enterprise EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes. Tim, geez, wake up, coffee. Got to have coffee. Sorry, guys. Now, if somebody comes to you and they say, well, it's at this many EBITDA, and they don't work for KKR, Blackstone, or somebody else where they have no intention of owning the business long enough for depreciation and amortization to matter, punch that person in a really strategic area and leave, right? Charlie Munger called it BS analysis, and he's right. He was right. Depreciation and amortization, if there's any business owners on here, they know that I'm right about this. Depreciation is a very real expense, right? Everything in your office is getting less valuable by the moment, and you're going to have to replace it. So that is my thought on DCF. It's a decent rule of thumb, EV to EBIT and price to tangible book value to us as individual non-control investors, I think are much more valuable. So,
okay. EKS, did that help? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, hopefully that answered it. And whoever it was that says, what do I think of Jay Powell and his procrastination habits? I'm just going to go on record. Ryan, I've said this before. I'm one of the 3 guys on the planet, I think. He's actually done a decent job, guys, and history's going to be a lot kinder to him than the current environment. There's been a lot going on during Powell's tenure, including, reopening the economy, dealing with the aftermath of the of COVID. I think he's done a decent job. Certainly better than his 2 predecessors. I think history will be very kind to him. And my biggest concern in the markets today, honestly, and this is top of the list with everything else that could go wrong, losing the independence of the Federal Reserve would be a catastrophe, right? And we can have all the argument, and maybe we'll schedule a special show and we'll argue about whether we should burn the Fed, end the Fed, just throw all the Fed's clothing out the window onto the front lawn and let them pick it up when they try to come home, change the locks on the Fed. It doesn't matter, right? We're stuck with the Fed. The Fed is what we have. You can argue the gold standard, the commodity-backed standard, lots of other things you can do with the currency. And it's a cool, fun discussion, and I'll have it someday. But we're stuck with the Fed. The Fed has to be independent, and it's not just this president's policy. It's the next and the next and the next that scare me, right? Because if we start making monetary decisions based on political whims, we're done. Our fiscal system is over. So I don't think Powell's done that bad a job. My biggest problem with all government officials is I wish to hell they'd procrastinate more.
Okay, there you go. There you go. There you go, Indiana Jones. Tim, really good stuff yet again, as always. Appreciate that. Again, folks, this is why we leave the banner for Edge up here. It is the easiest way to get involved. You got to crawl before you can walk. The stuff that 13 and I do here on a regular basis, you need to be ready to go. You need to be able to take on risk in a lot of cases. What we're talking about here is a much easier, much slower pace way of starting to take control of your financial future. So, Tim, really appreciate it. For any of you that have questions, my main man, Lucas, is here today in the chat. He'd be more than happy to talk to you about all of this stuff. So really good stuff. Thanks, Tim.
Hey, guys, have a great day. Good morning, 13. We'll talk to y'all next week. Bye.
All right. That is Tim Melvin, folks. Again, appreciate you all for joining us here, and I appreciate Tim for sharing his expertise. As mentioned here with Edge, I know I don't talk about it a lot because it's not like an active thing here. I have continually added stocks from both of those portfolios. Really, really easy to do. You also get some instructions on there. And Mark Petrino is part of that. Don't forget, Mark Petrino is part of that as well. Okay, as we await 13 and right on cue, it's almost as if 13 was watching right there. That's pretty sweet. Let's see how he's doing. 13, good morning. How's that coffee, boss?
It's tasty. It's doing the trick. How's everybody this morning? How are you?
Man, we are doing good. We are doing good. We made it to Fed Day. We'll see if we have some fireworks here today. We've got NVIDIA lower here in the pre-market, and we do have some movers to go over. So let's dive right in. You want to start with those movers?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. First one here, SPRC, SciSpark. Now, number one here with SciSpark. This is one that we have traded here before on with our group. We've had some mixed results with this one. This actually does have a news catalyst here. Popped yesterday in the after hours and then popped again here in the pre-market. So what's going on with SciSpark? Let's take a look here. Automax Motors files, this is from, sorry, I was making sure I got the right day. Automax Motors files motion to Jerusalem District Court in connection with Automax and SciSpark merger. They're trading higher after this decision here and in the connection with the merger of the company. So looks like this is going to be good. Market is rewarding this plus 113% here so far in the pre-market. Also worth noting, we've actually taken multiple legs up. It hasn't just been one pop and one drop. We actually held overnight and then took another leg up. Now, the percent of float shorted here looks like a significant tick up here, 28.46% of that float shorted. That comes with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume here of 541,000 shares. Now, the float in this micro, I'm actually going to go check the float just to see if there's a bigger one out there, but 530,000 shares in the float. 13, what do you think on this one?
530,000 shares in the float. They just did a reverse split earlier this year in June on the 24th. It was a 1-for-21. That's why we have this low float. Company does need cash. This is the highest short interest that the company has ever had. But one thing that's important to know about this motion that's been filed in the Jerusalem District Court, this is just allowing Automax to come to a decision, and they have until September 30th, come to a decision about whether or not this merger may actually be consummated or not, because they're just not sure if they're going to be able to meet the conditions. So they have until September 30th or until a notice is filed with the court indicating that they cannot meet the conditions of the merger. So just something to throw out there. One good reason why you probably shouldn't stick around in this, especially as September 30th rolls around, it might not merge. So just some things to think about when you're trading this. I don't know that I'd want to hold this beyond today.
Got it.
But this could provide some decent trades. We aren't really looking that good right now. We did pop up to some of the previous levels we've traded at previously when we were trading this last. It's currently hanging out beneath the 65 EMA. We have the VWAP bearing down on us. That's never a good sign. We need to see this price recapture that 65 EMA and go on to get above VWAP next. And if you do, it looks like 490, in my view here, is going to be a resistance level that I have above VWAP. I don't know where your VWAP is.
495.
Okay, so it's going to be just above where that resistance level is. So let's go with 490, 495, big resistance area. We need to get back above the 65 EMA if we're going to even have that conversation about trading up above there.
Okay, really good stuff. SPRC 13. I'm going to kind of throw a monkey wrench into this to get to the hot topic as of right now, and that is Lyft. The chat is already over it. Nobody is surprised. Lyft is, in fact, lifting off. Okay, I'm done. Lyft shares here are trading higher after the company and Waymo announced plans to expand to Nashville next year, with Lyft's Flex Drive managing Waymo's fully autonomous vehicles. I'll tell you what, this makes sense. All right. First of all, you see the move here in Lyft. We were about $20 here. We're up 30% on the back of this PR here. Lyft absolutely power spiking. This, even if you missed this, don't worry, folks. There should be some other trading action here today in Lyft. I think a pullback would actually be great because that would probably set up another upside move. But here's the other thing to keep in mind. Several of you, Izzy, weren't you I don't think you tweeted me anything on about this, but there were several of you that were talking about Lyft recently. Look at the move Lyft has made here. And in particular, on Monday, Lyft having a really, really good day. Now the news comes out. This is what the daily chart looks like. I actually think, call me crazy, 13, but I think this has room up to about 32.
Look to the left. Look to the left some more. I guess you don't have it because in April of 2022, there's a gap fill that starts at about 2250 and goes all the way up to 30.
Yeah, that's right in here. It's just you. Okay, that's
you
right in here. You just can't see it because of the
way.
moving average lines. Absolutely. But this is kind of what I mean. This 30, 32, that's probably you're going to be your resistance area. Now, Lion here saying don't chase. I would agree with this. I would say be tactical on this. I think you can be patient with this. Wait for pullbacks. It's not as if you don't buy right now, this thing's going to go to 100 and you're going to be completely missing it. That's not how this works. So I would agree with Lion here. Don't chase. Be patient. But you got a really awesome catalyst here. Stock is trading on crazy volume. It averages 18.5 million shares. It's already done 5.5. This news literally just broke while we were on the show. Float here is 402 million. If we take a look at the short interest here, it's actually got some short interest, which should make the trading action pretty actionable here today. 16.24% of the float shorted with 3.8 days to cover. So while we do not technically classify that in the high short interest category, it is moderate and it is up near the high bucket there with 20 and 5 on days to cover. So Lyft here, this is what's going on. Big piece of news with Waymo here. It's moving big, 30% here in the pre-market, 30% at the highs, backed off a little bit down here to 25. This is likely going to be in play. The options are liquid as can be on this one. So you should be able to do this with stock and or options if you want.
It looks like if this does come back in, you're going to get support down around at the earliest, I think maybe 2250, all the way down to 2050. We're just coming back into this. I guess we'll call it a cradle since that from that gap down. We've just kind of been in this range between 780 and 2250 since May of 2022, and we just finally broke out of that. But if we are going to come back down, I'm looking at that breakout level of 2250, that area, and the one beneath it of 2050 as the next support areas if this continues lower.
Okay, really good stuff here, and I love where the chat's I love the energy levels here in the chat because they're already talking about it. On the back of this, come on, Ryan, get it together. On the back of this Lyft news, there are two other stocks that we talk about here frequently that are likely to respond to this. That's going to be Uber and Tesla. Looking at Uber here, we are down 4.2% here in the pre-market. This actually came down to a Wednesday, September 10th support level, actually tested the Monday, Tuesday, September 9th. We tested that level. There might be another trade in here. Zach here saying, don't overstay your Uber and Tesla shorts. Jay here saying this could be bad for Uber and Tesla. I would agree. These three stocks are likely going to move here today. Take your pick which one you want to trade. Here's what Uber looks like. Here's a quick look at Tesla and what that's doing today. This lower here in the pre-market, but of all of these stocks, the most muted of all of those moves. Really good stuff there on this piece of news, literally breaking as we're going through the movers. Lyft here, partnering with Waymo. Barry the Goat says Alphabet will eventually buy Lyft. And honestly, I think Barry's onto something here. I think what makes the most sense, given the robo-taxi and all of the stuff and all the different companies that are getting involved in this, I think Barry's onto something here. I think the acquisition of Lyft makes the most sense. I can't tell you when. I can't tell you for how much. Barry here is guessing that Alphabet is going to be the buyer of this. That certainly makes sense to me. But I'm not sure that that's the case. This is a pretty good mention here. Lyft, possible acquisition target. 13, did you have anything else that you wanted to cover on this piece of news, or should I keep moving through the movers?
I was just trying to see if there's anything I could find here with the Uber chart, support areas, what have you.
Sure.
We're beneath the 20-day SMA right now. We're coming down to the 50. That's going to have a value of 92.65. I'd look at that as the next area of support. But even if we lose that, there's a trend line that you can draw from the lows as of June 18th. There's a series of lows. You got that one. You have the one from August, and you have the one we just had from September 5th, all providing reversals. So I would draw a trend line with that. And if the 50-day SMA fails, I'd look at that next one for support, even though I wouldn't expect it to hold up, 100%.
Okay, I'm also going to take a look. I think that there's a bit of a parallel channel we can get in here. So instead of the trend line, I'm actually going to draw the channel. This will give us some more price levels to look at.
That looks better.
Okay, really good stuff there, 13. Really good breakdown. Thank you in the chat for mentioning all of this. It looks like everyone is awake and ready to go. That is exactly what we want to see. Okay, next on the movers list here is going to be ticker CDT, Charlie Delta Tango. CDT equity shares are trading higher after the company announced the strategic acquisition, are you kidding me, of 8.65252366 for $1 million at an average price of $11,285 per share.
What?
Yeah, there's
Bitcoin.
It's Bitcoin.
Yes.
So it's not per share, it's Bitcoin.
Okay.
So here we go. Strategic purchase of 8.65 Bitcoins for $1 million at an average price of 115 Bitcoin. Thank you, producer, for typing the news out in a way that I could read it. But this is what's going on here. CDT equity. This was actually a penny stock popping to dollar territory. I'll probably pass on this one, but we might as well mention it. Quick look at the short interest here. 3.75% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Comes on an average volume of 930,000 shares. This penny stock's already traded 50 million here today. Float is 2.86, so maybe we do have some movement. What do you think on this one, 13?
This is not the first biotech that I've seen do this. So it's kind of wild. But I didn't unfortunately cover this one because this is, just started getting going here, not that long ago. But 2.8 million shares in the float. Looks like, looks like the company's going to need to raise cash. They've got about 3.3 million of it. They burn more than that a quarter. So would anticipate a capital raise here. I mean, when this thing comes back down towards $1, if it loses $1, it's probably going to trade worse. It's trading just fine right now, coming up to some resistance areas. 120 is the next area that has a large seller in the way. Don't know if that's going to be where this the party ends or not. Like I just said, I haven't had time to look into this, so I don't know. I have a great idea of where this is going. I could make some guesses. Looks to me like if we are filling a gap right now. We're in the middle of that. That gap is from September 5th to the 8th, so it's a weekend gap. That would put 118, that 120 area as a resistance. And then there's the next resistance after that looks to be at about 150. I'm not even sure if it's going to get that high. Like I said, I'm sorry I didn't have time to go into this. I didn't notice it until later.
You can stuff your sorries in a sack. It's quite all right. Real quick here, day trader saying what I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, bought 8 whole Bitcoin IRL. Now, day trader, don't deny the company their 0.65 Bitcoin. Don't deny the company the extra sats that they bought here. Of course, I'm saying that tongue in cheek because you're spot on here. Okay, the news is cool. Stocks popping 71% on 8.65 Bitcoin.
Yeah, we have a treasury of 8.65 Bitcoin. I don't know how that's a flex at all, but I guess this is the market we're in.
Okay. All right. That's CDT. Now, Hind. I'm just going to keep moving on here. Hind or Hind, Hind, Hotel India, November Delta is your ticker there. Viome Holdings shares are trading higher after the company announced it presented results from its preclinical studies investigating VT1908 for treating uveitis at the recent annual meeting of the American Society of Pharmacological and Experimental Therapeutics. So it looks like we're getting some good data here on Viome Holdings. This stock was about $6 yesterday. We popped above 18. We've retraced an enormous part of this move. Looks like at about 80% of the move. Let me actually see what kind of retracement here. 51% of the stock price here, but a huge retracement, about 80% of the actual impulse move here today. We're below VWAP. That's got me concerned, but so far we've kind of held this low down here, 8 3/4. Take a look at the short interest on this. I actually don't have a read. How about that? I don't have a float read, nor do I have a short interest read. It does on average trade 75. It was 3.6, you said?
3.6 mil, yep.
Okay. Yep. So that's here. That's awesome that you got that from your broker. I checked on Know the Float, and it doesn't have anything here for this either. So 3.6, good stuff there. 13. Stock on average trades 75,000 shares today. It's traded 9.3 million. 13. Did you cover this one? Do you have anything here on Hind?
Yeah, this one you mentioned unveiled their preclinical data on their VT1908 eye drops. This company is going to need cash. I think that's just going to be the easiest way to put this. Great that they unveiled their preclinical data. Preclinical, meaning they have to go through all the different phases in order to meet FDA approval.
And that takes cash.
That takes a lot of cash, and it takes a good amount of time too. Unless you want it to be shorter, then it's going to take even more cash. So this company is going to have to do an offering at some point. Could be as early as today. As far as the trading action goes, this is currently going sideways right now, following its impulse move that took it up to 1841. I have it trading beneath the VWAP right now. We did try to attempt to recapture once. That was rejected. So going to need to see that VWAP get recaptured. Now, we might test the 65 EMA prior to doing that. I have that down at 1854. So this one might be just one that we need to, if there's going to be any trade in this at all, just wait out of the gate for it to start making some moves. Probably will be down first, but once it starts getting above its VWAP, this could start trading better. So VWAP is going to have to get cleared. Resistance at 1275 and at 1445. And then you have the highs of the pre-market after that.
Okay, Smoke Tuna saying Hind, he's got a 15.8 million share float. I think the key takeaway here is that it is still a low float. It is under 20 million, but it is not a micro float. No matter what reading you get, it's going to be over 1 million shares there. But good stuff here, HIND. Okay, I'm also seeing, I know there was some news here regarding Lilly. I know this that we're kind of talking about the movers. This is moving here. This morning, this is moving on some data about the pill being superior. Here we go. Lilly's oral GLP-1 superior to the oral semaglutide or semaglutide, however it's properly pronounced. That's Novo's drug in a head-to-head trial here. So this good data here on the pill. I know there's the thought here with some of these fat drugs, people really want to go to the pills that don't like needles, that don't like injections. The reality is that the injections are always going to give you better results, but it appears that they might be picking up some of the slack here. So I just wanted to mention this because I saw Eli Lilly here was spiking and they just put it on CNBC. I don't really think there's anything we need to dive into this. We can a little bit later if we need to, if you guys are looking for some more levels, but that's what's going on here in moving Lilly. 13, do you have any other stocks on your list that you covered that maybe we should start with here?
I looked at CWD and NFE.
CWD and NFE. We'll start here with CWD. This is Caliber. We're familiar with this. We traded this one recently. Caliber shares are trading higher after the company closed a $15.9 million sale of perpetual convertible preferred stock and activated an ATM equity program to support its digital asset treasury strategy. That popped us above 11. We actually came back in here and gave up the VWAP. That's one thing that we want to take a look at. The other thing that I want to remind you is just remember what this stock did the last time. Humongous pop, $2 to $56, all in the pre-market, and then this thing did nothing but get pounded the rest of the day. Now we're trading up here again today. I got to think some people learned their lesson, but just remember how this thing traded the last time we took a look at it. Quick look around the horn on ticker CWD. Got a 9.09% of float shorted with 1 day to cover. Comes on an average volume of 7 million shares. Today we've traded 3x that at 21 million. The float on this one's super small. I think that's what really kind of got people into this. 686,000 shares in the float. 13, tell me, what's the plan here?
Yeah, so this did a reverse split on May 2nd. It was a 1 for 20. That's why you have that 686,000 share float. Closing of the nearly $16 million sale of perpetual convertible senior notes is great, but the ATM program is something that I'd be very cautious about. That's basically green lighting, issuing and selling shares whenever they need to raise capital. So that's something to keep your mind open about. The perpetual convertible notes, these can be converted at any time per the parameters of the notes themselves, but they also are going to pay dividends, fixed rate. That's why they're perpetual. So there's also there was a chance that these could be converted, but there's also the ATM program that I'm a little bit more concerned about if they can raise capital and issue more shares and dilute their share structure at their whim. So just something to keep in mind there with CWD. We've traded up over 11 twice already today in the pre-market, been rejected both times. We are trying to, looks like it's trying to stop from going lower, but if it does, you still have that 65 EMA down at 763, where it could provide some support. But this is just another one that needs to recapture its VWAP, and if it does, I'd be looking at 975 as resistance prior to 11.
Okay, really good breakdown there, CWD. I just really quickly wanted to mention, we sat here and we literally told you in the moment, not to chase. Lion, shout out to you. You had literally threw that in the chat. Don't chase. Couldn't be any more clear. We sat here and told you that you're likely going to get a pullback on this name. There's going to be more opportunities to trade this, and we gave you a price range of 20.5 to 22.5. Lo and behold, the bottom end of that tick was 22.75. I mean, I don't know if you can get a more actionable trading plan for free anywhere else. That is something else. We're seeing it here on Lyft. Be patient with this. If you miss a move, don't chase it. You'll have an opportunity all the time here on Lyft. Bharat, I am entirely unsurprised to see that you were looking on the short side here on this. We'll see what we get in the regular session. Bharat, keep us posted on how you are trading all of this. Also getting mentioned here that Rally is popping, and this is popping recently, which is why I'm jumping in front of you here, 13. Reliance Global Group shares are trading higher after the company announced that it completed its first digital asset purchase in its recently launched Digital Asset Treasury Initiative. This is really good news because this took us from penny stock territory to $1 territory, and boy, it's doing its damnedest to hold on here to $1 or to that dollar level. We are pulling back off the impulse high. I don't think this is done here today. No short interest to be worried about. 0.71% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. The average volume here at 2.32 million. Today we've traded 8.7, floats 4.2. 13, do you have anything on Rally really quick?
This is just another Ethereum asset treasury, and I'm starting to think that kind of kicking myself for not doing this earlier. Maybe getting a spreadsheet together of all these different treasury assets with their tickers, so we know which tickers are falling under which types of crypto. So all the Ethereum names, all the Bitcoin names, all the chain link, Fartcoin, whatever the hell they call them these days. Like, I think that would be great. Just to have that piece of information all in one spot. But as far as RELI goes, looks like this is really struggling to get above $1 and even hold above it. So that's gonna be my first resistance area. Don't know what this price action was yesterday, but it might have been the same thing. I think, looks like it was. So I guess I would use those levels from yesterday as indicators of where this might go today. I don't think I have a whole lot of faith in this because the news came yesterday already, or I'm sorry, earlier this week. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how much upside there is in this one. So I really don't know if I can provide any levels right now.
Okay, that's okay. I'm going to jump in front of you again. And 13, I'm sorry, but GER, big news right now. Ticker GRRR, Golf, Romeo, Romeo, Romeo. Gorilla Technology shares are trading higher after the company signed a 3-year, $1.4 billion deal to build AI data centers in Southeast Asia. $1.4 billion deal. The market cap of this company going into today was $400 million. Floats 22.3 million. Average volume is 2 million. Today we're already up over 500,000 right after this news, which we just got 4 minutes ago. GER was we made jokes about Tony the Tiger about the stock. We traded this a number of times off the scanner before. Big pop here for GER. As a reminder, short interest actually something here today. 12.43% of the float shorted on this name with 2.31 days to cover. Now you got a rock solid catalyst behind it driving this thing higher. Maybe we do have some squeeze action here on this, but this is what GER's doing. 13, I know I'm throwing you more curveballs than Paul Skeens out here, but what do you have here on GER?
So this is going to cover regional markets across Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. Even though this is, I think, a Singapore-based company, they're going to start with 300 million in their initial phase, and that's going to expand to that 1.4 million contract as the time goes on. So it seems like they're getting a 300 million pretty soon. That's going to happen in Q4 of 2025. So that's great news. Could certainly help their balance sheet, which has only 10 million on it, and they lose they've been losing about 4 million, a little bit more than 4 million in the past couple quarters. So good cash infusion for them. As far as the chart goes, let me just pull this up here in my broker and see what I see here. I'll have to look at the daily chart because I don't have anything in the past couple of days that look interesting. But let's see, we're at 1950. So we're kind of running into some resistance here back from July. This is resistance at about 19 to 20, where a lot of this bottoming action was happening from June to about the middle of July before we lost this level. If we can manage to chew our way through this consolidation, which is from about 20.50 to $22, might start to trade a little bit better once we get beyond that. But there's still a lot of other areas of consolidation above that. Like there's another one that starts at about 24 and goes up to, I guess I could even say 34.
Okay. All right. I love this. Jane says GER was a loser for me, but today it's payback time. Let's go, Jane. Awesome stuff there. All right, 13. What was the one stock that you've had on your list that you've been trying to get out that I've just been stopping you?
I mean, I don't really care about this one. It's NFE.
Okay, perfect. New Fortress Energy here, ticker NFE, November Frank Epsilon, or Echo, or whatever it's supposed to be. Anyway, it's traded up yesterday in the after hours, popped again here in the pre-market, but looks like it's kind of settling in. The news for this did, in fact, come in the after hours yesterday. New Fortress Energy reaches a 7-year natural gas supply agreement with Puerto Rico, with the Puerto Rican government. $4 billion on that supply pact. That's what's driving this higher here. It's still holding higher here by about 40.5%. Quick look around the horn on this one. 22.69% of the float shorted with 7.05 days to cover. Folks, that is officially high short interest, possible squeeze action going on here. Float on this is 203, almost 204 million. So keep that in mind. On average, it trades 13 million shares. Today, we're blowing that out of the water, almost at 37 million already prior to the market open. 13, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so the $4 billion supply pact, 203 million shares in the float. This is going to be the heaviest one we're going to be looking at today. So I'm not expecting too much volatile price action. We've seen a lot of these heavier float names not really move as well as some of these other ones. So there could be some decent movement, but I'm not expecting fireworks. Maybe some sparklers. This has about a quarter left of cash. So the supply pact, good news for them. Currently seeing some support at around 275, but it's having a real tough time getting above 285, as evidenced from this price action stalling here this morning ever since about 8:20. So if this can continue to hold up with 275 out of the open here, let's see if they can recapture that 285. If we can, Next areas of resistance after that are going to be 290, $3, and looks like it's every 10 cents up afterwards, up all the way up to 340.
Okay, really good stuff. Let's get ready here for the open. Alex is asking any predictions for today. Alex, I've got the only prediction you need. Stocks are going to go up and down today. Someone's going to yell. We're going to have some piece of news, and there's going to be red and green candles all over the place. There's your prediction. Pat yourself on the back. Let's get ready to go. Here, let me get to the main workspace here. We'll get this thing fired up, and we are about to open.
Yeah, I think all it glitters. You're right about that. GER does look like it's going to have a tough time getting above some of these levels, as there certainly are people that are wanting to get out of this. People that are holding shares at twice the price of what it is right now. That prediction doesn't seem likely, Ryan.
We're trying here. You guys are mentioning that it lifted and then it crashed. Let's take a look at lift here. Man, I tell you what, the spot that we gave, pretty crispy, pretty good. We're actually holding right now above that 9 EMA. It'll be interesting to see if we continue to hold that here. I've got VWAP at 24.45. Let's take a look and see if my broker agrees with that. 24.32. So we are right in the same area there on lift. Okay. We are open. 13. I think I'm going to leave GER on the screen. I very much need to go to the washroom, so I will be right back.
Sounds good. All right. So what's moving out of the gate here? We have SPRC. That's headed down toward its 200 EMA. No trade there yet. CWD. Looked like it was heading lower just a second ago. There it goes. A little bit more. Going to want to see this hold up at 65 EMA if it continues lower. Low, or might even find support around 8, but we'll see if what happens here with this one. Not touching this one yet. Excuse me. HIND, that's trying to get back above its VWAP. CDT, this looks like it might roll over here. Just looking at the MACD, not sure how much higher it's going to go from here. Maybe 108, 110. There's a seller in the way at 110, and there's an even bigger one in the way at 115. You're going to need to see some big increases in volume here in order to get through that. But here we are. We're coming up to 108 right now, 108, 110. We'll see if it can get above that. If not, I think this might go on to lose its VWAP. NFE did that already, lost its VWAP, went straight down out of the gate. GER popped up to 21.48 and came back into some of the highs of the pre-market. Trying to hold above VWAP. Let's see if it does. COP just did a big LNG contract also. We'll have to look at that later. What's the jump-in point for lift? We kind of looked at that already. Here we are down at
2250 is right here.
There it is. So this, I mean, if you want to take a trade, this is one of the areas we talked about where there is going to be some support. So between 2050 and here, this might be the place to take a position if you're looking to trade this. I personally am not, but don't let me stop you from doing what you want to do.
Coming in a little bit there.
Yep. Looking for SPRC to try and turn around here. It did get support down from the 365 area. Went back up to the 65 EMA. Not able to recapture it yet. Still beneath VWAP. CWD looking a little bit better here. That's it's currently trading above VWAP. This looks like it wants to go beyond 977 or 975. I mean, there's a big seller in the way at 930. We'll see if he gets taken out.
NACA, this one was on yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah, this was on yesterday. It looks like it's trying to get some continuation here today. We'll see if it gets it. Several of you were saying that GER could actually continue today. We'll see if we get that. Here's SciSpark, this showing an early bounce. We'll see if that firms up a little bit. Here's GER, not running yet. And then Lyft was the other one. Those are probably our big movers here. Tell you what, Lyft actually right back to that spot here, 13. Let's see if Lyft can...
Sorry to interrupt you, but here we go with CWD.
With CWD, got it. CWD.
VWAP, it's trying to make its way towards 975. It took out a seller, so that's why I was getting excited about it, but it's still backing off a little bit. But let's see what it can do here. We're looking for first a test of 975, if not a breakthrough.
Okay. So here you go on CWD. Boy, I tell you what, that trade idea, that trade plan, I see exactly what you're looking for here. A move right through that VWAP might actually send this thing. We'll see if we get that.
And it looks like SPRC is moving above its 65 EMA right now, making its way towards VWAP. Might get some resistance there at VWAP initially. I do see a seller in the way at 435. Looks like Lyft is getting some support down at that area we were talking about. Hasn't turned around yet, though.
Let's take a look at it. I'm interested to see what the action is like here on Lyft because it's been pretty volatile right out of the gate here. What's interesting is that they tried to pull this beneath, but they keep bringing it back. I'm going to wait for this to firm up, but I don't think this is over. We might actually have an opportunity here in Lyft today. Oh, one more thing, by the way, I just wanted to update the group because we talk about this all the time regarding Ondas here. So yesterday we had some weakness on this pullback. I actually added calls here. This is something that we've been talking about a little bit. I don't want to sell the remaining stock that I have until we see double digits, but I added some January 10 calls here on the dip yesterday. I will add to those again, probably one more time if we go lower here and hold around this area. But now looking to maybe make some shorter term trades using the calls here in ONDS.
I would have mentioned that Ionic was making a move. It had a pop up to 64.72 out of the gate here. Came back down to VWAP right now. So
Marcus, is this a viable spot right here? Marcus mentioned Ionic. Sorry for interrupting you, 13. He just mentioned it in the chat, and this is right at those amalgamation of those levels there. So to me, I almost wonder if this is a buy spot here. Ionic.
We just had SPRC move over its VWAP.
Amanda says I closed some sold calls for a profit in ONDS yesterday. So you bought them back, so I couldn't have possibly bought yours. That would have been cool though. X Sniper, what calls did you add? I added, so which one specifically? Right. The January expiry 10 calls for ticker ONDS. January expiry for 10 calls. I paid 90 cents per contract on that. Marcus, in at 63 here on Ionic. Let's take a look here. Boy, 63 was a really good price. You must have bought that initial pullback. I was thinking 63 and a half is decent entry.
Look at 63, like going into the open. That was kind of the support area as we approach the open here.
Yep.
That was really good spot.
Really good shot, Marcus. Good stuff. Tesla lost the lows. Jay Rice gave us that earlier. Probably some weakness in Tesla and Uber on the back of the Lyft news. Here's Tesla. It's at yesterday's intraday low, so maybe there's a possible bounce spot there. I'm just going to check Uber while we're here. Uber, so this is actually above the lows. Izzy, are you out there? Are you scalping Uber on this? Are you calling BS on the Lyft move? Or maybe not BS, but calling much ado about nothing, to quote Shakespeare there on the Lyft move and maybe playing Uber? Let me know. Speaking of Lyft, let's take a look at that. Let's see how we're doing. Damn, we gave up that 2250 pretty good. Looks like it's trying to hold 22. I'll wait for this to turn around before we try trading it.
Yeah, we got.
Excuse me, before I do. Sorry.
There's a $2 range of support, 2050 to 20.
That's right. That's right.
So we're still in there. Smoke Tuna, you're saying CDT looks nice. I'm not so sure, man. This looks like the MACD is indicating that this may roll over.
Damn.
Kind of topping out here a little bit. If this loses 95 cents, I think this could come down to the 65 EMA down around 75 cents. So I'm not sure that this is looking great yet. This may need some more time. That's just my opinion, though.
I'm going to overwrite this layout so I can keep MACD on here. Since we talk about it all the time, we might as well have the visual aid for that as well.
CWD popped over VWAP, came back down, and it's went underneath VWAP, and now it's halted the downside. Probably going to hit the 65 EMA next.
Back into penny territory.
CWD? No.
CDT is over CDT. Sorry, CDT. I'm sorry, man. That was my bad there.
Yeah, CDT, CWD. That's going to be really easy to discern. I know. It's a mess with some of these names sometimes.
That's just how it goes.
But meanwhile, SPRC still continuing to climb. This is looking much better. Looking like we might get a move up to 525 before we hit resistance. Maybe just $5 first, but 525 seems to be the next resistance area we're headed towards.
Okay, good stuff there. Good stuff there, folks. Lift, maybe we're firming up here around 22. Okay, SPRC, SciSpark, we did take out the VWAP here. Let's see if we start moving higher. But as mentioned earlier with support range for Lift, we called what, 22.5 to 22.50. So far here, Lift looking like it might be trying to bounce off that $22 level.
SPRC is continuing to climb, moving over 5 now, looking for that 525 resistance I just mentioned. There it is. Just hit it.
Great call. 13, dude, getting it done. Chewbacca is absolutely loving this.
And if this continues higher, there could be some resistance around 575, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer to 590.
3D breaking some news here. SRTA Strata Critical jumps on Keystone acquisition. Actually, SRTA, this is above. Was this something that people were waiting for yesterday? This above yesterday's intraday high, rolling on volume here. Okay. I love how you just slipped it in there.
I had to.
I know. I don't even mean to dominate it. Nice looking breakout here, 3D on SRTA. This news came yesterday morning, and it actually looks like we're getting some continuation. Lake Street went up about 75 cents on its price target here. SRTA. Which one is this? This is the air mobility platform. Provides air transportation and logistics for hospitals.
GUR approaching pre-market high.
That's an interesting one. This one not on my radar, 3D. I'm going to have to look into this one a little bit more. Sorry, GUR?
Yeah, that's approaching the pre-market highs. Session high is 21.48. We're not too far away, about $1 away.
Man, what a bounce off the 9 EMA on this one.
Mm-hmm. So we're getting a little bit of a pullback here in SPRC. That's okay. We just want to see it hold above its VWAP.
AIIO, this was on deck yesterday. Looks like we're trying again here to flirt with this VWAP. Let's see if we can get above this and actually get a tradable spot here on this. Kind of disappointing yesterday. We knifed through the VWAP. There was a trade to kind of get back to this, but boy, another knife away from the VWAP. I'd be curious to see if this can stay above VWAP here today. It's already pulling here. I would give this a little bit of leeway just to kind of be a little bit more conservative on this. This might be your spot for Tesla, says Tess. Let's take a look. Ticker TSLA. It's already starting to bounce here. What was that, 410? Yep, so far holding 410 here on Tesla. We have a gap beneath here. That wick in there, that's a little tough. We have a gap down basically to 397-ish on Tesla. So we want to see it hold here, maybe retrace some of that move. No position for me on Tesla yet. Palo Alto back above 200 and rolling. Bitcoin, interestingly enough, down at 116 on the Bitcoin futures.
And here we go. There it is with SPRC. Hit my 590 and a little bit more.
Let's effing go. Let's effing go. $7 looks to be your next upside spot. Did you have a more refined target or is 7 good enough?
I have 670. I'm also looking at the pre-market highs. That's going to be the next area. So if it can get through this 590 area, that's going to be the next area of consolidation that we have to get through. And then after that, we're just going to be looking at some previous levels from previous days. But we're almost through all the pre-market price action.
Ticker HIND, Hotel India November Delta. This actually rolling over now. It might retrace this entire move here. I don't see any long spot yet here on HIND.
CDT with the knife I was anticipating. Didn't like the way that MACD was looking. This is what I was more or less kind of thinking would happen.
So you got the blue line crossing through the orange line there. Down we go.
Yeah, it might be better later. It might actually be coming down to a support area. So Smoke Tuna, they're kind of on this one. Do you think this is potentially a loading zone? You tell me. I'm not interested in this one.
Okay. Also, just kind of looking at the broader market here, a bit of a divergence here. We're going to start with the SPY down 0.02%. It was fairly flat in the pre-market. It is worth noting that we rolled over from the push higher here. A quick check-in on tech and the Qs. That's doing the same thing. This is actually at the pre-market lows, but the divergence comes in the Dow. Look at the Dow. Dow pushing up to highs. Might as well take a look at IWM. Also, Jonathan mentioned the IWM was trying to break higher here. Here's what it looks like on the daily chart. Would love to see a break over this recent high. That probably sets the 245 high up next.
Sorry, I'm just looking to see if
Tennis is life saying ring the register. Nice call on SPRC. You got it. You know what? We'll give you a 1 up too. We'll go the trifecta. There we go. We're gonna have fun today, folks. I know it's a Fed day, but it's still a fun Fed day.
I mean, after we're done with morning trading, it's pretty much feed up until 1 Eastern, isn't it? Or what time is it? Is it 1
2
or 2
p.m. Eastern?
2 Eastern.
2 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
2 Eastern. Okay, so CWD unhalted went down to that 65 EMA. It's getting support right now. So if there's going to be any trade to be had here in CWD, we're going to want to see this turn around and move back up towards VWAP. SPRC hit a high of 636, backed off, still holding or trying to hold above 6. Keeps going back and forth between above and below 6. So wouldn't be surprised if we did get some pullback here. This is the pre-market consolidation area where it's at. But if this moves through it, hey, great too.
GER still kind of holding in near its VWAP. We'll see if this has the strength to make a move. That SRTA that 3D mentioned pulled off its high and looks like it's trying to go back up there. Not as much of a big mover, but oh boy, is that chart gorgeous. That daily chart looking real good on that. Let's also take a look at Lyft here. I suspect we will probably get an opportunity to try. Still holding 22. Let's see if we can get back above that 15 EMA at 22.5. That was one of our support areas we listed earlier.
Getting a mention from Tennis's Life that Circle is ripping.
CRCL, that took 300 today, didn't it?
No.
Oracle
took 300.
Oracle. Oh, that was one letter off. My bad. Circle here still popped right out of the gate, right to 140 here. Was there news on this, though?
I don't think there was. This could just, I don't know what the reason why it's going. Maybe it's momentum. I don't know.
Bernstein remained to buy, but I think that was from yesterday. That's just a recap article there. I don't think there's anything fresh here. Amanda saying IWM is waiting for the rate cuts. I sold in the money puts on IWM yesterday. Amanda, you know what? Get a register ring and get a 1 up for that. Our options selling queen out here, just getting it done.
Awesome stuff.
Who says we need to wait for the Fed decision today? We'll get it done earlier here today.
We're going to front run everything.
New highs on SRTA. 3D, you might have hooked one.
Hollow could be setting up. Oh, geez, this one. Let's see. We are in. Okay, we're already past that August month. Maybe this is going to do the move it does twice a year in late or mid-September instead of late August. Let's see here.
Lyft trying to curl. GV is getting mentioned by several chatters. Let me take a look at that. That's Visionary Holdings. This also ripping out of the gate here. Did this have news? Indeed. Visionary Holdings announces a breakthrough strategic alliance with Yike. Is that what that is? Yike Regenerative Medicine to unlock the $1 trillion cellular rejuvenation and aesthetic treatment market.
Okay. Regarding the Hollow, this is hitting some levels. 575 is one of the levels I had. It went up to there today. If this goes on to make the dumb moves that it has in the past, I'd be looking at 725, maybe even to $7 next.
Lion here. I love this. Reminding folks to book their gains. Jay Harris says, I'm out. You know what that means. We're going to ring that register, baby. Really good stuff on that.
Yeah, whoever said GER knifed wasn't kidding. This thing went right all the way back down to before any of the impulse moves. It just went right back down to the start.
Complete retracement of the news pop on this. That's great or not.
No, that's gross.
Let's go 13. That was way better.
Looks like we're getting a little bit of a reversal here in the TQQQ after it hit the pre-market low. I don't know if we're going to end up recapturing all the levels and going higher. I see resistance at 98.50.
I'll tell you something, 13. Unless you're trying to front run the Fed decision, which if you have an outlook on that, that's fine. Unless you're trying to front run that, I got to think that those ETFs are no touches until we actually get the decision, because that's when you're going to get that real quick expansion away from its VWAP in either direction. That's just my own thought on that. We'll watch that here. Yassine long lift 2240 does. So this is one of the things that I was thinking here on lift. I would love to get some of the profit takers and flippers from yesterday, or anyone that had that information early, out of the way here. Now let's see if lift can recapture 2337. That's going to be your VWAP for lift. I think if we do that, we might be able to challenge some of these levels higher.
It might already go higher. I mean, it might already be trying to go higher.
Yep.
I think we may have broken the downtrend already. You can draw a trend line if you want, but
so I think what you're talking about is this trend line from the high through this, and here's your trend line break.
Yeah, so we might see this continue to get a lift. We'll just see if that ends up happening here. But currently at the some resistance on the way down here at 2275. Next resistance appears to be at about 2330.
I am seeing some lift calls get bought. These are short ones for this week here. These are upside calls.
All right, let's see here. Looks like CWD is trying to turn around here. It got support from its 65 BMA.
Lion here saying, Ryan, watch Rocket, ticker RKT, and Zillow, ticker Z. They both moving up on the rate cut. You know, Lion, so one of the things that I've been thinking about, obviously I'm holding Rocket Leap calls here, and we're up massively on these things. I mean, this trade already, these calls go to zero. This trade was still an absolute banger, but we've got some trailers on here. Here's the thing. I want to see how these stocks respond, and I would be entirely unsurprised if there was massive volatility around that decision as people try to place their own bets on what they think the future rate cuts are going to be. Definitely getting a little bit of action here ahead of this. This notably, at least on Rocket here, bought back from yesterday's $20 lows, which it held. The other stock that you're mentioning here is Zillow. This also trading higher here today.
And look at United Wholesale, UWMC. That's got a pretty good setup too.
Okay, so that's showing us the same thing then. I have to get the ticker right.
There you go.
I'm just clicking all over the place. All these stocks showing you the same thing here so far today.
And we have an upcoming golden cross happening here with UWMC. $7 is the big resistance area in the stock right now. It's looking pretty good here. I'm looking for a break over 7 here. I was loading this up again when it was down in the low 4s and under 4. So doing pretty good here.
Okay, really good stuff here this morning. Really good stuff here this morning.
And it's not going to just be the rate decision, folks. Listen to what Powell has to say. I think that's going to be very important.
No question. We covered that in the breakdown here. It's likely going to be the most important part of today's print. Circle here at the highs. For those of you trading CRCL, Charlie Romeo, Charlie Lima is your ticker on that. 144 right here.
Waiting to see if SPRC is going to make this move back up through 6 and try to go for the pre-market highs. Might be setting up to do so.
GV, this continued. Is this halted? Let me take a look here at my broker. I don't see it reported yet on signals. This might be halted up here at 320. It is. GV halted up here at 320. What a move on GV.
Yeah, that just blew through every level that I had here from recent price action. Now we're getting into.
You think 375, 378 might be another level here?
Yes.
Okay.
375, I would certainly put that as one of the levels. 425 after that, and then maybe 550 after that.
Masber asking here, guys, hi guys, if something is on its way down, we need to catch it at a bounce? Is there a technique to guess if the bounce off VWAP or 65 EMA or 200 SMA? Okay, a couple of things here. First of all, you don't ever need to catch falling knives. Number one, there's no need to do this. There are likely going to be easier trades here. When you're catching a falling knife, you're talking about something that is already extremely volatile. And frankly, there's no way to know where it's going to bounce. We're going to look at those levels and try and outline them and then see if we can actually catch a trade from those levels. But there's no way for us to know for sure. I think what's more important here in your question, Masrer, is what does your risk look like? If it comes into one of those levels, whether it be VWAP or 65 EMA, what happens if it breaks it to the downside? Are you stopping out? Did you start adding to that position in lower quantities so you can add at lower support levels? Have that figured out before you even trade it. And just as a reminder, there is absolutely no need to catch a falling knife. That is something that you need to kind of figure out based on your own risk parameters.
Yeah, leave that to Britney Spears.
I don't think I catch the reference there, but that's...
Just Google on YouTube or search on YouTube Britney Spears knives, and you'll understand why.
Okay. I will probably do that when I'm not on the clock, just in case.
Ionic is coming back up to some of the session highs. There's a seller on the way at 64.35. Keeps moving around here, so it looks like it's trying to walk this price back down, but it keeps getting chewed up in the process. Keep an eye on Ionic. I think this might make a move here.
I think you're right. 64.5, your break spot there. GV still halted.
GER is trying to recover. SPRC is still trying to get back above 6 and push up to 670.
We already had a great call on that, right? Tennis's Life, didn't you bank off that SPRC call earlier? Here's what the chart looks like.
That was a pretty good one.
Kind of flagging up here. I'll see if this makes another move through 6.
Okay, see, I'm glad the chat's knows what I'm referring to with Britney Spears.
Okay, I'm just the old boomer that doesn't know crap.
Oh, don't worry. You'll come back here tomorrow and you'll be fully informed.
I was gonna say I probably have no idea what I'm getting ready to walk into right now too.
You guys in chat are great.
I say it every day. We've got the best community out there. Smash up that like and subscribe for our awesome community. We appreciate all of you.
They're hilarious. I'm still thinking Ionic's probably going to have a pretty good move over 64.50 pretty soon here. It's just shaping up to be that way. GER still trying to get back up to VWAP. NFE looks like that's trying to turn around. It's got a whole bunch of moving averages and VWAP to get through. I'm not sure about CDT. I feel like after this candle, if it can't get above VWAP, it's probably going to go even lower, like down to the 65 EMA. We might even get a rejection at VWAP around 95 cents. Just something I'm thinking could happen here with CDT. It's no guarantee. It just doesn't look great to me.
I'm seeing some circle calls, but these actually might be closing orders. Those were the 125 calls that expire this week.
SPRC started to lose its VWAP. It might be try to recapture it, but this is starting to show signs of rolling over here. So be careful with this one. I don't know if I'd take any new positions SPRC right now.
Okay, NVIDIA, this actually broke the pre-market lows. It actually looks like it's trying to bounce back up to that level and test it. I've got it right now testing, 151, 170, 155, 9 EMA, it's back testing here. If this rolls over again, I think a 170 test for sure coming. Jay Wild, good to see you, Jay Wild. GV is open. Let's take a look. 4 test incoming. Lyft continuing to make its way back to the VWAP. Yassine, that was a great buy on Lyft.
Yeah, it looks like 23 is coming for a lift, but I think the resistance may be up around 23.30, somewhere up in there.
Here, let me actually go to that lift chart. This is good here. And what do we got? 13. We told you. You're going to have another opportunity on this one. Wait it out. Don't chase. Graphical representation of why we were saying that right here on the screen.
Shoot, where is it? Okay. NFE, that went up to its VWAP. Not able to recapture it. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of EMAs in the way and VWAP, so going to have a hard time getting through it. This is also the one that has the largest float of the ones we looked at today. So still thinking that this is going to struggle to give the price action we're looking for as it relates to some of these other ones we're trading here. A bit of a trend line you could draw with this.
And which one? Which ticker? Sorry.
NFE.
NFE. Got it.
You could drop from the highs of the pre-market to the high of the regular session here, and that's the break. And this is only going to get broken if we can get through these EMAs and VWAP and get through the consolidation of the pre-market down between 275 to 285 at 10-cent range there. So it's it's got for a large float. It may have its hands a little bit full, but if it gets through this trend line, let's see some better price action.
Lyft still making a move back towards 23 here, only 8 cents away. I think we get that. Definitely think we get that. I've got VWAP here, 23.15 on Lyft, ticker LYFT.
There is a seller at 23 here in the way. After that, you have another one at 23.10. And it looks like every 10 cents after that, there's a seller that's wants to cause problems for all us bulls on Lyft.
So just like we discussed yesterday, trade plan here on Lyft added anywhere down on this pull, whether it was a little bit higher at the low or a recapture of the trend line, wherever it is, this move up to 23, I've got it 23.22 here in Trading View, move up to this level. I think that is R1 and definitely worth trimming some of that initial position.
Thank you, Jay Wild, for mentioning GV. That after it ran up to 411, it had a massive knife. ET3. What is this? What is this? Is this a Britney Spears knife? Anyway, GR. This is making its way. It's almost at VWAP right now. We need to recapture VWAP because if we do not, I think this also goes lower. And here's we're starting to get the price action that I was talking about with CDT, where we can't get above VWAP. It starts to look a little bit weak. It's giving some signs that that's the case. This might go under 80 cents here pretty soon. I don't know that this holds up.
Okay. Lyft here. Yassine out 23. Nice trade there, Yassine. I'm going to give you the trifecta here.
I had looked at the movers list this morning and I didn't see very much, and I thought it was going to be a much slower day than today. This has been fantastic this morning.
No, this has been great. And Lyft, this is the only stock that I've scalped here today because this to me gives me the best opportunity. Out here, really only like 40 cents. Yassine, I think you hit this for 80. I want to see if this gets rejected at the VWAP or if we cross through it. That will set up the next trade.
Bob, great mention. Open is
got it.
Is higher now. We're trying to capture 10, currently at 996. This has been an area that the price has not been able to hold for too long. We did close above it once on September 11th, have not been able to close above its that price since. Maybe today we get to see that second close and maybe even a print above 11.
Kevin here. I'd like to get some opinions here from the group. Amanda, looking at you. Anne Marie, if you're out there, looking at you, up 535% on my Rocket Lab $19 call, torn on whether to cash out or exercise. Might I offer another suggestion here? Give it the old sold and rolled, right? If you still want exposure, if you think there's more upside move here in Rocket and you only have the one call, as you're mentioning here from your message. First of all, if you have multiple calls, you could always peel partial there and book gains that way. But if you only have one call here, one of the other things you might want to do, sell it, lock the gains, buy another upside call with more time on that for a cheaper price. You effectively what you're doing at that point is you're using some of your profit to roll into a new trade and booking some of it, even though you only have one contract to do that. As far as exercising goes, I think I've only exercised calls one time in the 11 years that I've been doing this. That was on GoGo, by the way, long time ago. you would have to have a pretty substantial long-term outlook, and you would want to own this stock in order to do that. Also, check your fees. If you only have one contract, it might not be palatable based on how much your broker charges you to exercise options and turn them into stock. And then obviously, I'm never going to tell anyone that you should not sell when you have a 500+% gain. Ringing the register on that, never a terrible idea. Kevin, I can't tell you what to do, but there is some food for thought for you.
I'll tell you what to do. This is not advice, but this is something I think you should absolutely do if you're considering on whether or not you need to sell or not. Earlier this week, the company announced that they are going to offer and sell up to 750 million shares of common stock from time to time. I would read those SEC filings to get a better idea of what when that's supposed to happen or what their plan is, because that's going to affect your earnings, your outcome there with your options. So certainly read into that and let it help you make a more informed decision about where you're going to when you want to unload these, because I think that's something you really should be paying attention to, because that's share dilution right there.
Good stuff there, 13. By the way, Lyft challenging that VWAP. We did have prints there, 23.15. So Lyft did make to the VWAP. We're going to watch now and see what happens from here. A couple more things. All That Glitter says never exercise. Never exercise. B Hall saying I would only exercise if the dividend could be captured. So there's some more input there from the team. Good stuff, guys. Appreciate that.
CDT had a move up through the VWAP. Got to see if this holds here. I think this came up to a trend line. If you want to draw a trend line from the pre-market high through the regular session high, that kind of gives you an idea of where we might see some resistance, which isn't too far away from that $1 area. We're a little bit higher than $1, maybe 101, 102, where it was finding resistance in the regular session earlier this morning. Now we're getting a pullback here. I'm still concerned about this one being able to hold above VWAP and go higher. But if it does close above VWAP in this current candle, maybe there's some upside, more upside to be had here. So
I've got to close above VWAP on the candle that you were talking about. We just started a new candle. We'll see what happens at the trend line.
Yep.
ATCH getting mentioned by Smoke Tuna. ATCH actually flagging for a move higher here. 117, your intraday high on that. 10-year Treasury still holding at 4.028%. That's, I think, going to be the key metric to watch here today. I think if that 10-year dips beneath 4, you could see more of a move higher in the market.
Trying to hit it has been hitting its VWAP. It's trying to get back over it. Need to see more volume out of this stock, but it's watch for maybe a volume spike here as it approaches VWAP.
Here's GUR, and here's Lyft. So we just talked about that actually going to the VWAP. It's doing exactly what I anticipated, at least for the first test there. Look at this. It stopped right at the VWAP. Now, that's not to say it can't go through this still, but I am entirely unsurprised to find this, or excuse me, to see Lyft finding resistance at that VWAP. This is why we called that R1. Here we go. We'll see if we go through it here. Stop there for a little bit. That was your first spot to lighten the trade from the curl right off the open.
Bharat, you're asking if open breaks above the previous high of 1070, what's the next level on it? So 1070 is a little bit above where some resistance level is from August of 2020. It looks to me like if you are going to get above 1070, you're going to have to deal with $11, which is still from that same area. I don't know if you have that on your chart, Ryan, but I don't know if this is when Open Doors IPO'd, but if it was back in June of 2020. But this back and forth that it had in the middle of 2020 before it started, spiking way higher, like going up into the 30s. That's kind of where it was consolidating for a period of time. Was in that 1070 to 1120 area. So I would kind of think that that area right there is going to give you some significant resistance until you get through 1120, and then there's going to be some other resistance areas above that, like a 12. So that's kind of what I'd be looking at here, Brad. Is take a look at the price action from shortly after the IPO in 2020 for your next levels.
Okay. Supri, we cannot tell you to hold, sell, or buy. We can only tell you what we're seeing and give you ideas on all of that. You're going to have to figure that out. But we believe in you. We believe in you. Matt, great to see you again this morning, saying Snap looks interesting. Matt, give me the bull case here. What do we think on Snap? Why does it look? Is it just the chart? Is it a particular level? Does it have to do with the TikTok news from yesterday? Here's your daily chart. I can see here that it does look like a potential gap, and that gap doesn't fill till what? 940? So you're entering a gap zone here. Let me know, Matt, what's the thesis here? Is it just the chart? Is it just this gap? Is there something else going on? Maybe we held this kind of double bottom area at 7. That's ticker SNAP, S-N-A-P.
Did you say it was a resistance level?
Yeah, well, just kind of here. Let me actually turn these lines off because I already got fooled by that once. Let me just do that here real quick. I've got this. What?
I was just gonna say, look at that horizontal line right there at 8.
Yeah, this is the break into the gap, and then I have that gap filling 939. The bottom wick of that is 920. The actual bottom from 2 days prior to that was about $9, 891.
Yep, I like all that. And then you have the 200-day SMA right in that area where the gap fills too.
Okay, that's probably going to be your target. Matt, let me know what you think on that. I honestly, I never do well with Snap. I feel like I donate money to the Snap fund, and I don't like it.
You're not invisible.
Don't like it.
You're not invisible, Crocodile Dummy. I see GV. It's open. It's pushing up towards the highs of the regular session. We're not through 4 yet, but 411 is the high of the regular session. It is still trying to capture that level. It is above VWAP too. So great right now. I don't know how high it's going to go though.
Oh, clicking the wrong things here, Ryan. Come on.
Ionic with a big ugly knife that's taking it lower. It's losing the 65 EMA right now. NFE is still hammering the VWAP. If it gets above that, we're looking at the trend line to break. CDT kind of tested that trend line, didn't actually touch it, but we got pretty close to the one we drew. It's still trying to hold above VWAP. And SPRC, I think Smoke Tuna, you're right about this one. This one looks like it's going to go lower. 65 EMA coming up. GER made its way through VWAP. It is trying to, it looks like it's trying to get to 20. Thoughts on RR target? It says, asks Ed. You look here.
You know what? RR, not to beat a dead horse here, but I'll tell you what, this call that Izzy had on RR, Izzy, I feel like you were on this several days in a row here. RR, the big move happened on Monday. Then we got like an intraday move midday yesterday. It's holding this area. What I'd be looking for here, a breakdown beneath 370, probably has some more downside. A break above yesterday's intraday high, 4.25, probably goes higher from that.
Well, thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. RR, do you have the daily chart up where you can see like the trend line that I thought I had you? Okay.
I have an older one, but 13, really quickly, some of my stuff got reset here, so I likely just didn't save that trend line. Let me know what it was again. I'll redraw it here, and then I'll make sure I save it.
Let's just do it for this year, January 6th high through the high from August 27th, and look at what we're doing with that trend line
today. Oh, geez, that's about as perfect as it gets, dude.
We're back testing that right now.
Good heavens.
So I would want to see this trend line hold up, and by that I mean I don't want to see any closes beneath this trend line. We can print beneath it, but as long as we're ending the daily candle with closes above this trend line, that's what I want to see. That would make me confident of more upside. Now keep in mind we are pretty extended here at the RSI, not suggesting that we can't go higher, but I would expect pullbacks into more of the strength. So if this does go higher, maybe consider selling into strength. If we get those lifts over 4.
Dave saying managed to get 300 out of SPRC. Given the fact that that's just kind of one of these junkier moves here, $300 doesn't sound half bad to me. Dave, you having a steak tonight for dinner? Let me know. It's a nice little move there, SPRC. This also going to be one of those where maybe this sets up for another move a little bit later in the afternoon. We'll see. By the way, Lyft still battling at that VWAP, folks. Still battling at the VWAP.
And look, Crocodile done me all the way up to 418 in GV, and now we're pulling back again. Let's see if VWAP can hold it this time. But yeah, hey, at least we caught this before it printed that new session high, right? And GER is still trying to print higher. We did we hit 20? No, just 3 cents shy of 20. So almost to 20 on GRRR. We still want to see this hold up VWAP. It's above it right now. I have the value at 1955. NFE, here we are, trend line.
Let me go to that here. I'm still watching Lyft in another screen. We're actually above the VWAP now. Would love to see it build here for a little bit. Might try another scalp on that one. Lion mentioning PSEC. That was our monthly dividend payer. That chart, I'll tell you what, I actually owned that for a while, collected a bunch of dividends, but ended up selling it at a loss because it really just didn't look like it was going to turn around. Be interested to see what that does with the rate cut. Lion long leaps on that. What's the strike and expiry on those leaps, Lion?
We are 17 minutes away from 10:30 when volume does end up leaving the market to return later. Here we are, CDT just moved through that trend line, so just had to be patient with this one. CDT is yeah, it's got one now, Jay. Yeah, Jay Walker, you got that right. So it looks like 105, which is where it was getting about the area it was getting rejected this morning. So that resistance level still in play. Large seller in the way at 110. Thank you, Jonathan Cooper. Oral data in 15 minutes. We'll have to keep an eye on that. CDW looks like this is trying to turn around here too, but I don't like the volume. We need to see more volume in this one if we're going to get back above VWAP.
CWD?
Mm-hmm.
I think you said CDW. I'm just making sure I get the ticker right. I could be wrong.
See, now I'm doing it too.
Lyft CEO coming on CNBC. Is that coming up after this commercial break, Izzy? That might induce a pop on that. We're actually trading away from the VWAP here. Curious to see what he says on that.
Yeah, it's kind of going sideways right now. I don't want to say it's starting to roll over. It just kind of looks like
Me
it's
either.
going sideways.
Me either. Let's see what we get here on Lyft. Izzy, is that it's coming up right after this? Okay.
CDT still trying to push higher. It's chewing through that seller at 110. I think we just printed a little bit higher. The high of the pre-market is 114. So we're not too far away from that. Let me see where this could go next if it breaks 114.
Okay, just scalped Lyft for another 15 cents right there. I kind of want to play it for this. But again, it went right back to VWAP, and I'm like, I might as well just book that.
All right, so new highs in CDT. We are just now filling the gap from September 5th to 8th. So I don't know if we're gonna probably halt here. Actually.
Oh man, look at this. That was a great move. Great call.
Well, Smoke Tuna was on this earlier, but I think we just needed to wait a little bit for this one because we initially got a big knife and then it turned around and did this. So this was a great call by him, but we just needed to wait. But this now filling the gap. So I don't know what's going to happen out of this halt. We might see a slightly higher print, but there are a lot of sellers in the way from here, especially at 130. Congratulations if you took that trade, folks.
Lyft making me yawn. Look, the battle here at VWAP is for real on Lyft. And I again, I know I'm trying to just pick up nickels and dimes here on this. When it pulls away from the VWAP and it doesn't break down, probably going to return back to the VWAP until it makes a decision here. We'll see if we get a big pull on this. I'm curious on Izzy's mention, though. I wonder if this is going to respond positively as the CEO outlines what this merger means for Lyft.
So Smoke Tuna, you're in at 1. You're thinking that this goes a lot higher then? Like, what's your target? I'll look at my daily chart and see where I think this might run to, because man, this thing looks like it's been reverse split into oblivion. From here, I would think maybe 135 is the next spot. Let me know what you think, Smoke Tuna.
You guys are also mentioning open. That looks like that's above $10 here. Indeed. And pushing away next leg higher here on open. Smoke Tuna calling CDT to 2 as a possible level there. Lyft still under its VWAP. Boy, I'm glad we took that dime.
Open door running into some resistance from 1040 to 1050. I'm just basing this off of last week's price action and as well as Monday's. Actually, I wonder, is there a little trend line here?
Lyft CEO is on right now. I can't hear him.
That's okay. It's sending the stock higher. Maybe it goes to 2350.
Integrated fleet management service through its FlexDrive subsidiary includes vehicle maintenance, infrastructure, and depot operations.
LDI bouncing back, says Ed Edwards.
Lyft here, there's a little bit of size there at that 23.25. Now that got deleted. That I don't even know how notable that was. This is trying to go higher here. Good stuff on that. Lyft out scalp, Izzy.
Day and night.
Every day and night, man. I love that drop. It's just, man, that Kid Cudi drop is so good.
I'm waiting for my oh man sound bit to get in there.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, it's 13. I don't know the movie. That's why I haven't done it yet.
I never watched it either, but it's just such the worst acting I've ever seen.
The problem that I have with it is like I don't know when to play that, and I feel like I might play it at the wrong time because I don't understand it. That's the only reason.
Okay, we'll work on that then. We'll wait for something to happen, and then I'll be like, this is a good time for that.
I've got some on here I can replace. Like here, what's this?
Oh God, oh man, yes.
Oh no, we don't want that.
Fuck around. Oh man. The more you're gonna find out.
I have one of these here. I have the FAFO one on there, and I tried to stop it by playing the Come On Man, and it just played them both.
Yassine's asking if we're going to trade FAS and RKT for the Fed decision.
Well, I already have RKT, so yes on that question. FAS, though, this is your levered financial bull ETF. This is a great day trade. Yassine, didn't we do this last Fed meeting? Didn't we talk about FAS? We did this in the happy hour. We talked about this one in the happy hour. We had several people that were trading this one. Remind me, this is actually a really good call. This might be a pretty good day trade for that. The other one that one of our happy hour chatters mentioned was DPST. And this is interesting because DPST yesterday pulled back. And boy, if you bought the low, you're 7 points higher already today. DPST, liquid options on this as well. Lyft, by the way, after all of that, right back to its VWAP. Izzy, really good job selling on that scalp, on that pop higher.
Kevin, I think Rocket Lab's going to be fantastic going forward. The big hurdles, I mean, aside from the offering news that I mentioned to you earlier, the big hurdle is going to be that neutron rocket. They've got to get that going, and they've got to make sure that they don't delay anymore, or else that's going to cause the price of the stock to go down. But if they do get that going, that's going to be a massive money generator for them. I think it'll help them grow into their valuation, which is pretty high considering their revenue. So I think it's like the company's got a capitalization of 23 billion, and it only makes like 140 million, something like that. But aside, I'm bullish on it too. But I just got to keep in mind those things that could pull the stock price back temporarily.
Sorry, typing a message here to some of my coworkers. Apologize for the dead air.
No problem. I'm just looking at some of these other names here. HIND, we looked at this one. This has not done really anything today. It's might be trying to find the bottom, but man, this has just endured nothing but selling. CDT, ooh, ugly knife. Was at 117, knifed right back down to the trend line and halted.
The power of the trend lines. Lyft now back above its VWAP here. This actually might be enough grind through that VWAP to actually start to spread its wings and extend a little bit here.
This is also one that has a large float too.
Yeah. I would not chase a move higher away from this VWAP. I would try and get it close to VWAP. And here it goes. It's actually starting to go. This actually looks like it wants to go higher. Let's see if we pull back to the VWAP and hold there.
Yeah, if we are going to get some more movement here in Lyft, I'm still looking at 2350 as the next resistance area.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, look at the
think you're right.
pre-market. The pre-market kind of, as we moved into the open, that kind of gave you the indication that there's a little bit of a battle between the bulls and bears right there.
Here we go. Lyft coming right back into its VWAP. I've got 23.14 as that VWAP, 23.20 here in TradingView. CEO is talking about the profits there with Waymo. Big smile on his face. Probably should have ironed his shirt before he showed up. That's just me, though.
Oh, you put that PR out today? Oh, Jesus.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, like, you're coming on CNBC. Your stock's trading up by 15%. You're announcing some real good news. You're going to be featured. He wears a nice, crisp white shirt that looks completely unironed, and I just feel like, he's probably got a team. I don't know. This is entirely unimportant next to the stock move.
Yeah, I'm selling my Lyft stock. The guy didn't iron his shirt.
Yeah, that's not what I did not intend for that to be the thing.
I'm just messing with you, man. Open at 10.50. All right. How do you feel about Lyft for a long hold? Geez, you want to take that one? Shady Wady's asking.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So how do I feel about this for a long hold? Well, I can make a case for both sides. First of all, full disclosure, I don't have it for a long hold. One of the things that I had mentioned earlier when we first talked about this news when it broke was that I suspect Lyft, even more so now, looks like a better takeover target. We talked a little bit about Google being a potential suitor for that. I don't know. Do I like it long term? Not a huge bull on the robo-taxi thing. I would probably do it short term. If I did a long-term position on Lyft, I'd probably do it through options, define my risk ahead of the trade early on, and then hope for some type of, really big pop on it if it does in fact get acquired. Yeah, not my favorite. I still think that I would rather go the Uber route. If we could get a nice pullback down to a support level, I think I would probably still prefer Uber. Great point. Iron the shirt down. Ryan's been savage. Look, I'm just saying. It didn't even mean for that to be a criticism. I meant for that to be more just kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing.
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of down with that, Zach. And we need to get some more Lucky Palmer CEOs.
Yeah, we do.
That'd be great. That'd be great if we had more of those. CDWs, it's moving slowly, but it looks like it's trying to turn around. I don't know. A lot of these don't look that great to me right now. I'm not in any position. It's kind of sitting in my hands, just waiting to see if there's anything that sets up. Volume is going to, really start to leave the market soon. Got about 5 minutes left till 10:30. It's been a pretty good morning. I don't think I should need to be forcing anything, but if something sets up, certainly I will take it. I just don't see anything that I like at the moment. Maybe Ionic, but I don't even know if I want to do that because it seems like 63 is going to be a tough spot for it to get over. AIO is nice day. Let me look at that one. Maybe I should be moving on to that one. So we're coming up to the pre-market high of 206. Not too far away from that. There's a seller in the way at 209. This is another one I can't chase. It's already had some good moves. There's not a lot of meat left on the bone here, so I don't know that I could chase this. I don't think I want to do that. No, but it has been a good morning.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it has. AIIO getting a mention.
Yeah, it's going to come up to that pre-market high.
I'm glad you can see me on the chat. I'm wearing an old shirt. Flying, you're not appearing on CNBC talking about a huge move with your company.
Spoke to him and mentioned GIPR. Let's take a look at the Gipper. Okay, so this had a move up to 150. It's backed off and lost a VWAP, but it's getting some support from the 130 area. I need to see more volume in this, but this might have a setup here. If this can hold the 130 area and then get some volume, in the next 5 minutes, it takes it back over VWAP. There might be a trade in here. CDT beneath the trend line now and VWAP. CDW, on the other hand, is recapturing at 65 EMA. It's slowly recovering, but I don't know if this is for me. Still think there could be resistance at VWAP. Yeah, I think that's just been a pretty good morning. I'm just not going to try to force anything. But if I see something that sets up, I'll let you know. What are we looking at right now, everybody? ATCH, 3 million in financing. What do they do?
That moved higher here. GV went back to its VWAP, couldn't break it. ATCH did take the next leg higher here.
Oh, I have a level marked on it with this one. We must have traded this before.
Yeah, I think we did.
I got a level of 165 as resistance. So there you go. PFE, is that actually doing something besides making bag holders? Oh yeah.
I had a couple of things that I was going to say there, and I was like, you know what, Ryan, you should probably not say anything. The reality, though, PFE trading higher here today.
How do I feel about this bottoming that it's been doing over the past few days? Well, we are at a resistance area. The next one that I see that's coming up to is going to be about 2450, and then I guess maybe 2475. Let's just go with 2450 for now. We're not that far away. Let's see what happens there.
Okay. Also, regarding Lyft, this really, at this point now, we're waiting for whichever direction it chooses next. It's basically found an equilibrium, right? Impulse move to the high, big time knife to the lows. Now it's really kind of settling here at VWAP. The next move here might be a tradable one. I don't know which direction it is. My guess would be a move higher. But you know what? I think a lot of that might depend on the Fed.
Yeah, and GV, I'm looking at this one right now. I have a feeling this is going to go lower here. MACD is looking like this momentum's kind of left the stock for now. I think the next support area is going to be down around 270. And if we lose that, then I think that we're going to probably end up coming down to $2 eventually here. AIIO still printing slightly higher, just slowly. Looks like GIPR is getting some support, but it's trading beneath the VWAP. Need to see a recapture of that. You guys mentioned ATCH earlier. That's trying to get over 135. That's the high from the regular session. I just talked about this one. 165 is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
It looks like Ionic is coming down to its 200 EMA.
Oh, did we ever get that? That's the one I forgot to mention here. Did we ever get that breakout? No. So we had this little kind of double top here at 64.5. Now we're coming back in. Airline stocks are liking the Fed. How does Delta look? Or DAL. Delta up by 2.3% here.
Are we thinking that airlines are going to get more business as a result of lower rates?
I haven't even given that thought. I was just reading the comment here. But I guess you bring up an interesting question. I don't know that I'm more or less likely to fly given the rate decision. I did actually. I've got a trip coming up here next week. Oh, I guess I should mention that. So next week on Friday, I will not be here, but the show must go on. So guess what? We're going to have Kevin joining 13 for Friday. One of my teammates here at work is having a wedding, and I'm going to go celebrate his marriage to his wife. So I will be gone on Friday of next week.
CDW is back up to VWAP. This is starting to curl.
CWD?
Yeah, I see. I told you I'm going to get it wrong.
I got your back, buddy. Don't worry about that.
CWD is it looks like it's trying to break out here over VWAP. Need to see volume expand a little bit more than this. This is not enough volume in order to make the moves that we're looking for here. It's going to take us over VWAP and get us back up to 975. We need to see more volume than this.
Lyft pulling away from its VWAP. Next spot to watch on the downside, 22.5.
Ionic with a little pop there, but still beneath the 65 EMA.
Price of oil looks unchanged on that data. Doesn't really look like it's moving at all here. Let me see if I can grab that for you.
Marcus mentioning bull and Tess mentioning booking, which is a great thought process here, looking at booking. Since we were talking about airlines, this looks like it's got a bearish chart. I would expect this to go lower, just based on the chart alone. And then you also were looking at bull.
U.S. gasoline inventories, 2.347 million barrel draw. That was versus the draw of 0.7. EIA weekly distillery stocks, 4.046 million barrel build. That was versus a 1.1 million barrel build. And then U.S. crude inventories, 9.285 million barrel draw versus the 1.4 million barrel build estimate.
Now with bull, it looks like it's coming down to a support area. Earlier this month, it's been trying to break below 1275, but it keeps getting picked back up. So to me, it looks like it's going to go lower. Like I think 1250, 12 to 1250 is going to be the next area pretty soon here, unless 1275 can provide that support that we've been seeing this month already. So that's kind of where I'm at with bull.
How's Hood? You know, I didn't even think I feel like I haven't looked at Hood in a few days. Let's take a look and see where Hood is.
WIS, I think that's absolutely true. I think that's what's going to happen. If we go to reporting twice a year, markets will be more volatile, but only during the earnings season. I think when it's not earnings season, it's probably going to be, a desert.
You know, one of the other things that we had said that I had taken away from the discussion we had about this last night, we talked about it a little bit here on the show in the morning. We talked about it more in the afternoon show. The one thing that I didn't realize, I had read a quote that they actually do this in the EU and the UK. They report twice per year instead of 4 times per year, and it's not really a big deal. One of the things that I learned yesterday is that some companies, in particular smaller ones that are actually executing, even if the requirement is only twice per year, they still do it 4 times per year. And the discussion about that is, look, if you're executing, if you're doing a good job, don't you want to update people about that? In particular, if you're a smaller company. So while I think 13 is spot on with his prediction there, I would imagine that some companies are still going to buck this trend, and those would be viewed favorably in that scenario.
Hey, Brock, no problem. I hope that that helped out there.
Also, Lyft coming into that 2250 spot. That is going to be a possible support area. No guarantee that it holds there.
And something that I was asking about yesterday, if they are going to switch to like a semi-annual versus a quarterly reporting, what's going to happen with dividends?
Yeah, that was a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, because they typically report dividends with earnings, but if we move to like 2 reports a year, are they going to move to 2 dividend payouts a year, or are they going to keep that at 4? And if they do, couldn't the dividend payouts be more like a keyhole into earnings, or could it be manipulated? Like they do a massive dividend raise and then they have their earnings a quarter later and it's absolutely terrible. Like, and it was only just a ploy to get the stock to get bought up. Like there's a lot of questions that are going to arise out of going from quarterly to semi-annual. And those are some of the ones I've been asking.
Good ones to ask, as always. Here's GV. This is so far trying to hold the 15 EMA. We'll see if that gives us a curl VWAP there, 319. So a pretty decent target if it's able to do that.
Yeah, MACD's curling over. I a lot of these I really don't have a lot of faith in right now. I think because we're at that 10:30 time and volume starting to leave, we just need to look at other stuff or just kind of sit on our hands for now. But we'll have some better trading in the afternoon, I believe.
CWD, this is still completing its move back to the VWAP, or in the process of that. XVET, good morning, is short float interest 26% on open. Is that correct? Let me go ahead and check. I don't have a lot of these numbers memorized. Let me pull it up here. Here is your short interest for open, 26.61%. So let me explain how this works, XVET. Our short interest that we include here in Pro comes directly from the filings. In other words, we make no estimate to what the short interest is based on what we see on the tape from day to day. This is why the period is just about every 2 weeks. So if you ask me the question today on September 17th, if the short interest is actually 26.61, yes and no. This is an accurate reading from the most recent data that we have that we are confident about. But could it have changed in the 7 days since the effective date? Sure. So I would imagine it's probably somewhere right in there. The data that you're seeing in Pro, the key takeaway here, the data that you're seeing in Pro is directly taken from the filings on the 2-week update period. So yes, 26% or thereabouts is the actual short percent of float. And while we're on the subject of short percent of float, suppose it would make sense to cover days to cover. That's only one. Open trades with such huge volume, I don't think you get a multi-day squeeze here.
To all the Glitter's point, it could be that a lot of these names that have been running up into this rate decision will end up doing that. It's totally possible. And I don't think I would dare put it past you that might happen, especially when it comes to open door. Look at how much we've run up, since just July. I mean, this thing's more than doubled.
You're welcome, XVET. No problem there. Q's new lows, indeed. SPY at the lows, but not setting new lows. Dow still higher here, bucking that. Let's take a look at the IWM as well. That went on a nice little run earlier. This is actually higher than the Dow. Dow up 0.5%, IWM up 0.75%. Be interesting to see how all of this stuff changes when we get the actual data print here from the Fed today. Folks, 6 minutes. We're going to have an all access for you here today. Then we're going to throw it back here. I'm going to say goodbye to you. We're going to bring the story trading guys on. Story trading, they have been absolutely awesome. You're going to get some more of them here today as well. And then futures fever after that. We got a whole lineup. Then we got the Fed decision. I hope you're strapped in. I hope you got your lunch ready. I hope you're ready to go. We're going to be all day here.
Yeah, Smoke Tuna mentioning QLGN. That's been on a really nice move this morning. Coming up to some really thick consolidation here that starts at about $3 and goes up to $4.30, $4.25. So lots of consolidation this stock is coming up into. Might be difficult to chew through all those sellers there.
It's 3 C's thick. Difficult, by the way.
Looking around here, looks like AIIO printing a high above the pre-market. So we beat the pre-market high. I'd be looking at yesterday's price action for levels from this point on. Lyft is trading beneath its VWAP now.
Retro, take care of yourself. Get those gains at the gym and then come back and get the gains in the market. We'll take that. Body and mind, always, folks. Body and mind. Keep them in shape.
Thank you, producer, for letting us know when Powell and his purple tie come along. It'll be later on this afternoon at 2:30 when they come on. We are going to be starting the stream at 2 o'clock, so you can follow along.
Eli, good question. I'm in Benzinga Pro. Where do I see Tim Melvin's portfolios that were mentioned earlier? Okay, good question. They're not in Pro, but if you have Pro Essential, you have access to the Edge site. So this is what you want to do. I'll just go ahead and show you here real quick. I'll share this DuckDuckGo tab. Where you're going here is benzinga.com. That's going to load the homepage. This is what you should see. And then and you should already be logged in. If you're logged into Pro, it's a single sign-on, so you should already be logged in. When you go up to My Account, when you just mouse over My Account, top right here, you get a drop-down, and Benzinga Edge is one of your links. Click this. It may take some time to load. Once you're in Benzinga Edge, it's going to look like this. The 2 portfolios that Tim was talking about are right here, Easy Income Portfolio and the Perfect Stock Portfolio. They have their own tabs right beneath the latest trade ideas section. Good question.
We got asked about the StubHub IPO. That is IPOing, right?
Yes, Stub ticker. I'm not sure how they selected this ticker, but it's a pretty good one. Stub is your ticker on that. Now, this is gonna. Yeah, I was gonna say this is gonna ghost me up here because it's not open yet.
They are pricing it at what, $23.50 a share?
Yeah, it was between 22 and 25, and it was about the midway point of what they thought.
Okay.
You got
All
it,
right.
Eli. You got it, Yassine. My pleasure.
Well, thoughts on this? If we get rate cuts, that might certainly be good for this. It's going to spur buying or make it easier to buy or borrow to buy. I don't know what's going to do today. I would think that maybe there's going to be, a run up and then a sell off. That's kind of what we've seen with a lot of these. I'm not going to give any prediction about what Stubb's going to do today, though. I'll watch it IPO right as the rate decision's being made.
And here's SRTA. So 3D, you were so earlier today that you actually beat the scanner from picking this up, probably because of the volume that it was trading. But boy, oh boy, look at this chart. Nice breakout here, 3D. You must have been watching this. This is a nice little breakout here. I would almost say that, oh yeah, your next resistance area here, 687, right in that area. I'm eyeballing this right now, but this to me certainly looks like the next area here. This actually looks like a nice rounding bottom here too, 3D. On that daily. I love it. Okay, 2 minutes, then we're going to go to all access here. Should be a good one too.
Yeah, some of these names are still have some life in them. Looks like ATCH trying to get print some new session highs. GV turning around. AIO coming off of the highs it just made. Ionic returning. That's almost at VWAP. Let's see. I saw another one here a second ago. CWD. That's trying to hold above its VWAP. It just got rejected, but this one looks like it's trying to curl up. I just don't like the way those upper shadows look. SPRC losing a 65 EMA. That looks like it's going lower.
All right. Jay here saying more rotation out of tech, and indeed, NVIDIA now breaking 170 to the downside. That gap totally filled. We talked about that earlier. Gap's been filled now. We'll see where we go. 13, it's going to be time for all access here. Really good stuff. Any closing words for the group today?
Another wonderful day with everybody. We found some of these wonderful movers and we traded them. We made some money. I look forward to doing it again tomorrow with y'all. I'll be back here. Hopefully you will be too. Ryan, take care. I'll see you later at happy hour. Folks, enjoy the next show. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Sounds good, 13. Take care of yourself. We will see you. 13's departure leaves room for the one and only Dan Leach. I like to call him the king of parlays. Here's Dan. Dan, how you doing here today? Happy Wednesday.
Hey, happy Wednesday. A lot better after I had that 30, the 3,000 to 1 anytime touchdown parlay over the weekend. That was pretty fun.
Wait, which one did you have? Just recap it for me real quick.
I had a 4-leg anytime touchdown parlay that actually was such a high odds rate that the sportsbook had to stop it and pay my taxes for me. Anything over, I didn't know this, anything over 3,000 to 1, you got to pay taxes federally right away. So yeah, it was 3,000.
You know what? That is very interesting. That's cool too, because I actually had a 5-leg parlay. The only leg that wasn't filled was Derrick Henry, which I could not believe. I ended up buying it out early for a triple. So you know what? I'll take it.
Right, I could have. They actually offered, so it paid. Well, I shouldn't say what it paid. It paid a lot. They offered me $700 less than it would have paid out after it was already hit. And I didn't realize there was a tax issue, so maybe I should have cashed it out then. But I still would have had to pay taxes. But it was a Dunze from your Bears, Turpin from the Cowboys, Butte from the Patriots, and Jawan Jennings from the Niners. It was. I heard the Jennings touchdown live because I have the radio call. And they threw the pass. Mac Jones did, and he was like, the announcer's like, a wide open touchdown. He didn't say the name. I'm like, please say Jennings. Please say. He's like, go on, Jennings. And I almost got in a car accident. It was
okay. Don't get into a car accident, Dan. No. And perhaps more importantly, tell us what we got coming up here on All Access.
Very excited to talk with the CEO and director of Nova Minerals, doing very exciting stuff, Christopher Gerteisen. So he'll be joining me in just mere moments.
All right, take it away, Dan. Good stuff.
Hey, great to see you, Ryan. And hey, Zingers, and welcome to All Access. I've got a wonderful guest for you today. It is Christopher Gerteisen, the CEO and director of Nova Minerals. Their NASDAQ ticker is NVA. He's joining us for an exclusive talk today. All Access starts right now.
Yeah, actually, that's not your fault. Restream, for whatever reason, the video assets are broken, so we can't actually play the intro, but that's okay. Let's just go ahead and bring him on. I'll get out of your hair. I'll bring Chris on.
Live, Christopher Gerteisen, great to see you.
No intro. Dan, thanks for having me on.
Filled with stature, no intro is needed, but it is great to be with the CEO and director of Nova Minerals, Christopher Gerteisen. Let's get into this right away, Christopher. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on at Nova Minerals, and I know that Nova's main focus is the Estelle Gold and Critical Minerals project in Alaska. Can you give us a snapshot of the current JORC resource, your stage development strategy, including the RPM, and how you see both gold and antimony playing in the long-term vision?
Sure. Yeah. So to date at the project, we've defined already in about 5 years. So in such a short period of time, in terms of these projects, we've already defined almost 10 million ounces of gold. And we've already done a scoping study. You know, it's about 2 years ago, we did a scoping study, PEA level. And at current gold prices, I mean, we're running, you know, over $1 billion NPV already on that project, but we're just trying to improve on that. So this year, we're just coming to the end of what was an action-packed season of more drilling. You know, we're working on a feasibility study here to continue to prove up that resource, grow that resource on the gold side. And our it's a bit of an iterative process, but our objective is to get something out to market, you know, sometime next year on the gold side. Now, concurrently, of course, you know, if you understand the project, large project here in Alaska, over 200 square miles of the claim block. Not only do we have those 2 gold deposits at Corbell and RPM, we also have 20 other known prospects at various stages of advancement where we're not only seeing gold, but in some of these prospects, gold, copper, silver, and many of these critical elements. And the big one there is really antimony. And so we've been continuing to advance that with the whole critical minerals push. And we've been a real first mover in bringing that production back to the U.S. on the antimony side. So we continue to advance that on a parallel.
Yeah, Christopher,
path.
I love to say it's an incredible time to be alive in general, but it's definitely an incredible time to be alive when you're dealing with minerals right now. That's for sure. And I know that there's strong exploration upside across that broader Estelle tenement. With the current drilling and new targets, what potential do you see for further gold and antimony discoveries? And why is antimony, as you alluded to, such a strategic and timely focus for Nova right now?
Right. So on the gold side, I mean, we've drilled almost 10 million, or sorry,
yeah, someday.
I wish 10,000 meters of drilling this year, mainly focused on that RPM deposit. Like I said, proving it up, getting it ready for a feasibility study to make that as robust and a strong feasibility study as we can to get into production here. And we think best case scenario by 2028. On the technical side, everything we're in control of. Of course, a few other things have to fall into place that we're not fully in control of, like some of the infrastructure and permitting. There's so many unknowns with that. Now, on the antimony side, our discoveries there have drawn so much interest, particularly from the U.S. government. What we see there is just massive stibnite veining on the surface, which is, of course, the primary ore mineral for antimony. And mainly the Department of Defense, the Department of War. The Department of War. To understand antimony, there is no mine production in the U.S. We've been totally beholden to China and Russia. They've cut us off. You know, long story short, they've cut us off. It's an urgent need right now. Antimony is used in not only all the clean tech, green tech, high tech, it goes on and on, semiconductors, batteries, solar panels, but it's used in all the munitions, right? 155 mil artillery shells, all small and medium caliber munitions require antimony in the primer, as well as some of these armor piercings in the projectile, hardens the projectile. That's why the Department of War is so interested and wants to get that production back to the U.S. It's just insane that we were beholden to China on that stuff. So like I said, we were a first mover on that. We're quite advanced now with Department of War grant funding. We're feeling really positive about that to join in a partnership with some non-dilutive grant funding to get this antimony into production, not only mining it, but refining it. So the entire supply chain with our project at the center of that, all based here in Alaska. And it's not just our project. Further on in the future, there's so much more antimony opportunity across Alaska. We were back in World War I, World War II, a major producer here. And so all of those existing mines that'll come online, old historical waste dumps, will create an incentive to produce a feedstock to bring it into our refinery.
That's
based
pretty
right here in
incredible stuff.
Alaska.
And listen, speaking of the U.S. Department of Defense / Department of War, I know you've begun discussions with them to potentially fast track domestic antimony production. What would that support look like, Christopher? Grants, partnerships, and how could it accelerate your plans?
Yeah, so it's a non-dilutive grant, and no matching funds required. Although we'll do what it takes. You know, you never know with these projects. We'll do what it takes. We have to put a little money in there, but it's not required. So it's just a grant, a straight up grant to phase. It's a phase 1 grant. So we've kind of split this up ever since China cut us off. There's an extra urgency for a particular product, the antimony trisulfide. That's the stuff that's used in the munitions. That's what phase 1 is focused on, this initial grant. And we could be, if we got a grant today, we could be producing this stuff by next year, mid to late next year already, and getting the U.S. back on track to be self-sufficient in that realm. And then we'd be looking at going for a phase 2 grant, which is then scaling up the operations on the mining side, building a full-on refinery rather than just a smaller scale refinery for the trisulfide, but the full-on refinery to produce all the antimony products, trisulfide, oxide, metal, semiconductors, compounds, potentially, not only for the Department of War, but for the entire U.S. industrial base. And so, or a big chunk of it to satiate that demand that we have here. That's about 35,000 tons a year of all refined antimony products currently growing fast. And we will be able to supply a big chunk of that for sure.
As they say, you got it all going on, Christopher. That's for sure. And listen, I know you're also in talks with the world-leading antimony refining expert. Can you tell us about that collaboration and recent metallurgical test results for both the gold and antimony, and also what they mean for recoveries and processing economics?
Yeah, we built a whole team around that, including Met's engineering, their metallurgical process engineering specialists. We work with Colorado School of Mines professor Corby Anderson, who did a lot of antimony process back. He's a real specialist. He's got some proprietary at a number of other companies that have some technology, process technology. But what we're looking to do, we've already done some metallurgical test work. We're looking to mine it and then concentrate it on site using ore sorting. And our test work has shown that we're getting like a 10-time upgrade by taking it out of the ground, putting it through the ore sorter, where with the ore sorting, the material is still quite coarse, 3 to 6 inches particle size. And then we're getting this upgrade already up to about 50% stibnite. Then we'll take that coarse product and we'll take it down to Port McKenzie, which is about 100 miles from the project, where we intend to do the downstream processing. And there we'll do some gravity, some flotation, and then the purification step, which we're still working on with Corby and a number of other outfits to see what that purification step looks like in terms of producing the final product, antimony trisulfide, right? Yeah. And so we're in that process. We're working through it, doing the studies. We're on track here to be, hopefully, the race is on, I get it, but to be the first producer, mine and refined producer of antimony in the United States.
Absolutely awesome. And listen, recent scoping and PFS work I know helped shape the economic picture. Could you walk us through key works taking place now and how Estelle's value per ounce in the ground compares to peers globally who sit north of $15 value per ounce in the ground right now?
Yeah, well, like I said, at current gold prices, back at the study we did 2 years ago, and we've come a long way since then in terms of more drilling, improving that resource. But already we're well over $1 billion NPV on that. Now, with what work we have planned there, I mean, who knows what the number will eventually be, but we're hoping something much larger than that. I mean, Nova Minerals really a diamond in the rough, right? If you look at our peers, the minimum average for the value of the gold in the ground is about $50 per ounce. We're running at about $8 per ounce Nova right now. And that doesn't even include the antimony opportunity I'm talking about. And so that's what we're trying to, early movers will appreciate that, perhaps what I'm saying here, but certainly we'll demonstrate that when we deliver our economic study to the market, hopefully here by next year.
Definitely very promising indeed. Mentioned a diamond in the rough. We got a lot of people that are watching live right now commenting saying that Nova Minerals is a very promising company. So great to hear that. Christopher, let's talk about the permitting path in Alaska. What is the permitting path forward? Is the project entirely on state land? And how is Nova positioning itself in terms of community engagement?
Well, that's an important point. So yes, we are all on state land, no federal land, no native corporation land to contend with. And so what that means is, well, just day to day, it's a very pleasant operating experience. Alaska resource economy, the state is so supportive. The governor, the senator have been out here recently again for a visit, see what we're doing, see what we're up to. But when it comes to permitting, it's a much more streamlined permitting process where all us dealing with our state agencies. You hear a lot about these other projects around the country, permitting issues being held up. It's almost always dealing with BLM, EPA, federal agencies. So we got none of that to deal with. And it'll be a much more streamlined permitting process, which is another big bonus for the project, right?
Yep. Huge bonus indeed. Before I let you go, Christopher, it's been a pleasure having you join me today. I wanted to take a look out over the next 6 to 12 months. What are the key news flow items that investors should watch? And let's talk longer term as well. What does success look like in, let's say, 3 to 5 years for Nova Minerals?
Okay, so we're just wrapping up our drill season this year. So in the coming months, exciting drill results, particularly in terms of the gold, more exploration results. And if prior years are any indication, we'll have new discoveries coming out. So for the rest of the year, expect lots of news flow on that front. And then into next year, we'll be trying to come out with our economic study, some of the test work we've done on the metallurgical side. We've already done a little bit of that this summer in terms of news flow, but there'll be more of that coming out. And then ultimately in the longer term, 3 to 5 years, you said, we want to be a producer. So that's what we're laser focused on, be a producer. We got cash flow on our sites, production on the horizon. So that's what all our investors, current and potential new investors, have to look forward to.
I love it. Big things ahead for Nova Minerals, that's for sure. It was an absolute pleasure talking with you today, Christopher. I want to thank you so much for your time and nothing but great things ahead.
Thanks for having me, Dan. I'll see you next time.
And absolutely, pleasure and honor all mine. That was the CEO and director of Nova Minerals, Christopher Gerteisen. Their NASDAQ ticker is NVA. Now let's send it back to the inspiration behind Orville Redenbacher's amazing popcorn recipe. The great Ryan Flynn. I bet people know that, Ryan.
Yeah, no, people didn't. Look, Orville and I worked together on that. I let him have all of the glory, but what I kept is my love of popcorn. I actually have a popcorn maker designed exactly for that I pop my own popcorn on. Real quickly, Dan, just kind of circling back to our discussion earlier here. What are you doing on Friday? You got 5 minutes to come on and maybe give out a parlay to the group?
Absolutely. I would love to. Listen, I'm always happy to.
I thought so, but just being polite, I was going to ask you first. Tell you what, I'll send you some more details on Friday. I'm not asking for more than 5 minutes of your time. Let's have a little discussion there. Give the viewers a little taste.
Yeah, you just shout out my great award-winning site, DTMSquatchpicks.club. That's all I care about.
You just did it for us. Dan, awesome. Looking forward to that. Really good stuff here today. We'll catch you next time, okay?
Ryan, you're the best, man. See you soon.
That is Dan Leach. Really good stuff from there. And now I am proud to bring on our friends at Story Trading, starting with Ben, Rhett, and the Godfather. The menu just changed on me, Godfather. That wasn't my fault. Sorry about that, my man. You are on and ready to go. First of all, guys, just want to say you guys have been doing an absolute great job on our show. And just personally, I want to thank you guys for all that you do here for us, as well as what you were posting on Twitter last week. So appreciate all three of you guys doing an excellent job. What do you got for us today?
Thank you. Well, what do we got? It's FOMC. I've been calling for a new all-time high on IWM. 242.35 is all-time high. I've been calling for that by today. I'm like, if it doesn't happen into the run-up, it'll happen in the first few candles, maybe after the decision at 2 p.m. I wavered on it yesterday and the last couple of days. So I was loaded in call options, and I sold a lot of them because I wasn't getting this, which is what I expected on IWM. We got the risk on rally with ARK-K, Ryan. Look at that. This was exactly what I was expecting with since CPI into this FOMC decision on all risk assets. For some reason, it was narrowly happening in the growth stocks. With the small caps, it was just choppier, and that sucks because I really predicted this kind of move correctly in between those two events. But I chose IWM calls. I got shaken out here, and I have a little bit, but I'm not making a killing on it. Anyway,
get us ready for the FOMC. Should be a big day. I'm going to get out of your hair. I'll see you in about a half hour.
All right, great. Thank you, Ryan. So there you have it. I'm focused on those risk assets. Obviously, you see TLT just exploding since all that. Really, it started early August. We started getting weak economic data, and every single economic data print throughout August, early September was bad, 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 bad. And then it culminated in the CPI being in line together with bad jobs numbers that day. And that's when you start seeing RK lift and IWM lift. I mean, TLT even lifting more with rates coming down. Just yesterday was the first bit of good economic data. Retail sales were better than expected. And that's why I wavered a little bit on my IWM bet. But man, if I stuck with it, my call options would have been killing today in IWM. So in any case, look, rate cuts are coming. It's probably going to be 25 bips. The only question remains, is it so well known and well expected that we're going to get to sell the news? And I've been worried about that since yesterday, which has made my trading a little bit challenged when you're worried about a market pullback, a sell the news event. So I haven't been having a great time of it personally in my trading since yesterday because of that worry. But man, looking at this IWM pumping into FOMC makes, when you're this close to an all-time high, you got to hit it, right? But are you going to hit that 242.35 in like 2 candles, and then that's the top for a while and sell off? Or maybe you get a sell the news sell off in QQQ SPY, right? But you don't get an IWM. You get a continued move in IWM. I don't know. Those are all questions that I have for later this afternoon and 2 p.m. There is a particular way I'm playing it. We'll talk about that later. Godfather and I both love Loan Depot, LDI, but a lot of questions in terms of what that initial reaction is going to be. And we got to tune into the presser at 2:30. And as always, the initial reaction is oftentimes wrong, and the tone is really set based on the commentary during the 2:30 p.m. presser. So I'll be paying close attention to that. Godfather, over to you.
Yeah, look, this meeting, as you mentioned, is a lock on 25 basis points. And as a result, I think a lot of focus will be on this, the SEP, the Summary of Economic Projections, the dot plot. And there is a big delta between where the past dot plot was and where the SOFR market or the Fed's funds market, futures market is with respect to the cadence of rate cuts. And I talked about this in our Discord this morning. And as a result, there is a high likelihood that they continue to lag on the dot plot. And this isn't therefore interpreted as a hawkish cut. I do think to the extent that we get any sell-off, it will be short-lived. So personally, I've been building powder ahead of this.
Personally, I'm sorry, when you say personally, what are you doing?
I've been building powder, dry powder, to take advantage of any sell-off.
I agree with that.
That's
but what do you mean by short-lived? A few candles or a couple days?
I mean, who knows exactly? It's difficult to predict market movements in general, but at that kind of granularity, really difficult. I have no idea. I do expect that there'll be some volatility. So if I see an extreme sell-off, I'll be participating in that. And again, the part that I'm participating in is in the interest-sensitive side because I am fully focused on this being a rate cutting cycle, and I don't care that much about the cadence of the cuts.
I think that's a great lead. I think I'm just advancing the conversation because I think we both want to talk about LDI, and it's exploding as you're speaking. I finally turned green for the day right now in this crazy move. But great job picking up. I saw you picked up at low of day, like 404, 405, something like that. That bounced right off of a support level that I had marked, which was right here, 403. Perfect bounce off that support. Anyway, just turned my day green on this major reversal in LDI. I bought some call options live on our live stream earlier. I don't know if you were watching that, the Godfather, but I think that's a good segue.
As I mentioned,
right into the LDI thesis. Go ahead.
Yeah, you see, I mentioned in the Discord this morning this big underperformance of LDI versus the rest of the names, and I sent out the whole screen. And again, there's some CEO insider sales that are on this predesignated, predetermined sales program. And every time that comes out, as it did first thing this morning, showing he sold another million plus shares yesterday at 461, the stock sold off. But look, you gotta zoom out. This is a story that should be trading now. Irrespective of what's going to happen in terms of this boon to their business. at the $6 to $7 level relative to its peers. So every time this comes out, buying the insider selling dip has been the right thing to do. So that's simply what I did. Again, I got lucky at 406 tick, but that's where I put my bids in. So I got the fill.
Perfect.
So yeah, you really need to take a longer term view of this. This less than 1% of his holdings.
And by the way, on that,
And,
you did great on the common shares. I already had a large position, so I did it with options. I just sold some. What I bought live this morning was the next week's $3.50 contracts. Bought them for 90 cents. Just sold them at $1.34, like an 80% profit or something. So, yeah, buying the dip on LDI. I've been saying all week that LDI is the new ONDS. Let's see if ONDS is still being ONDS, or basically every single day you could buy the dip in ONDS. That's pulled back for a few days, but that's basically a top 5 pick in my newsletter almost every single day now, where I think you can buy the dip almost every single day with these rate cuts. Just digging in. Listen, if you can help me with the fundamentals a little bit, very superficially, I understand them. Look, lower interest rates, good for home sector. I get that. There was a lot of hype over Open Door and Eric Jackson and all that. So initially I was playing that a little bit because it was in the right sector and was being pumped by Eric Jackson. But I didn't play it with conviction or size because I don't like, I mean, Eric Jackson is acting like Zach Morris, to be honest with you. And it just turns me off so much. Rhett knows what I'm talking about. So then when Citron came out and said, you know what, Open is too expensive and the better play is LDI, that really spoke to me. I'm like, thank God someone gives me a more legitimate way to play the sector. And then you chimed in, Godfather, and you made a comment which really resonated with me. You said that LDI will benefit from refinancing more than Open. And with now the interest of people are talking about now multiple cuts, not just a one-off, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 multiple cuts. And that's really bullish for refinance volume. And that's where I'm getting my conviction from. Did I tell that story right? Is that the way it goes? What's the story here?
Yeah, look, I mean, the Open and the OPAD stories rely on, corporate flipping of homes. These guys rely simply on refinancing activity, which is, highly correlated to lower rates. And, the biggest part of refinancing is, what does your customer retention look like? When companies or customers choose to refinance, do they do it with you or do they go across the street and take their business elsewhere? Well, the answer is at Loan Depot, over 70% of the customers will refinance at Loan Depot. And if they sell a house, pay off their mortgage, get a new mortgage on a new house, they will use Loan Depot again. The average for the industry is like 35%. That means your customer acquisition costs are next to zero. So in addition to the savings that they're seeing on an operating basis, utilizing AI to process these transactions, they have this inherent operating leverage. And the stock is trading just over 1 times EV to sales versus UWMC, which is trading around 4.8 times. So, I mean, if it was trading at UWMC valuations, this thing would be close to double digits. So look, I was looking at Fathom Holdings, I was looking at UWMC, and LDI for whatever reason wasn't even on my radar screen. So when that Citron piece came out, I dug deep into this thesis. And on top of that, it's a Steve Jobs returning to Apple story all over again with Anthony Shea coming back to run this company. So they've had some operational hiccups. They were high in terms of OPEX relative to sales, and therefore lower margins than their peers. No reason for that. That part of the story is also changing to the benefit. So look, the housing affordability is a primary. We already know this. Been telegraphed by the Trump administration. It is going to be a primary thesis for their re-election campaign at the midterms next year, and you've already seen this spread on MBSs, mortgage-backed securities, relative to the 10-year coming down because there's anticipation of, Bessent doing some of these things that he's talked about in terms of a potential housing crisis, which means, they can lift the cap on Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae's ability to buy MBS. There's talk about that potentially unleashing $1 billion worth of MBS buying. There's pressure on the Fed to use their balance sheet to buy mortgage-backed securities. There's new incentives for Ginnie Mae in terms of securing mortgages for new home buyers. There's all sorts of levers that the Trump administration can pull to increase affordability, lower rates, and increase refi activity. And all of that, lower affordability just means more originations. Lower rates means more refinancing. All of that is, in sum total, better for LDI's business.
Yeah, better for LDI.
Lowest valuation and highest operating leverage. That's the key to the story.
But when you say better for LDI than the competition, that's right. Better, so like LDI's.
Yeah, look, I think if the Trump administration takes steps to improve housing affordability, one of the other things they could do is curb corporate buying of homes, corporate flipping of homes. That is the core of this whole, open door and OPAD thesis. Yes, I know they're trying to turn themselves into, virtual one-stop shop for all things housing in terms of, all of the legal aspects of it, all the conveyance, all the rest of that. But the real juice in the story is their ability to flip homes. And the fact that everybody else in that business has left that business because it's such a crappy business. So that's how Eric Jackson gets to $82. It's not by them virtual home platform. So look, money is going to continue to circulate into the likes of LDI, which is a real company, as opposed to this OPED and open thesis, which are flimsy at best, in my opinion.
All right, Rhett, over to you. What are your thoughts so far?
No thoughts on that at the moment. I want to point out one thing real quick that's happening at the moment. Check out NFE. I know we covered this morning and you guys traded it. I'm still currently in it. This chart is looking great for a breakout, especially if you get above 275 on this next
NFE. I traded that last night because it had what looked like material news here. Let me just pull it up again. New Fortress Energy. 7-year, $4 billion LNG deal in Puerto Rico, which is, if you do the annual on that, I think it's like 60%, I forgot, maybe 40% higher than their annual. So it's like a 40% boost from what I remember to their annual revenue. Stock up roughly 40% right now. So I played it in extended hours.
Don't forget that they're the incumbent there, right? They were expected to win this contract.
You knew this company from before? Oh,
yes,
wow.
of course. I mean, it's been an absolute destroyer of shareholder value. The stock gapped lower recently because they indicated that they were close to being in talks with their creditors. So, they need this to stay afloat. But personally, I think it's baked into the stock at these levels. I would play it again. And, I had it on my radar to trade this thing at 175 when this, rumors of this being closed or close to being closed hit the market, which was like 2 days ago. And the stock started to move from the 130, 140 level. And I kicked myself that I didn't. The short interest is higher than what is reported. Clearly, when they made that announcement, there was a rush of new short interest. And you're seeing all that cover, which is driving the market activity. And I should have, anticipated that there'd be a bigger move and played it. But at 280, 270, I think we're close to having most of the juice.
I think I put targets on this in the morning note, right? Yeah, you did. 287. So if you're in this from just a technical, and let's call it 285, it proved out to be at 285, not 287. Look, it hit 286. Actually, I called out the dip buy here this morning at like 240 with a 287 target. It hit 285. I do have a secondary target in the morning note of 350 if it happens to break that. Obviously, that would go above the fundamental levels Godfather is talking about, but that could always happen in the short term, just on technicals and momentum. So in any case, I'm not in that currently. But man, look at this IWM. I'm sure our top options trader in our community, Yosef, is just crushing it today. He never wavers on my theses, but I always get afraid of my own shadow. I had a big IWM call position. I was talking in the top of the show, and I sold most of it. I saw a little bit, but it's nothing that's going to make me rich, unfortunately. But crazy how I just hate that intraday, that daily volatility. It kind of shakes me out of my own execution. But I never wavered on the morning note. Every single day for the last week, I was saying we are heading to 240, 235 on or before 2:30 p.m. today. That's been my consistent prediction. I wish I was able to execute on my consistent thesis. But man, price action just gets the best of me intraday, especially with options where you risk losing it all. But isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? This is still happening all of a sudden, out of nowhere. It comes, after 2 days, 3 days of inside candles. Why did it pick the day of FOMC to explode? I don't know. That's beyond me, to be honest with you. I don't like charts like this. I don't make money on charts like this. I make money on charts like this, up and to the right, without the volatility that makes me question my own thesis, without the volatility that sees my account going red and I'm like, oh shit, I got to bail. This is what I wanted for IWM. Just so frustrating that we didn't get that look in ARK. We got it in RK, but we didn't get an IWM. This choppiness chopped me out. Unfortunately, what am I making? Whatever. A few $100 here and there on these like 15 call options I have. But anyway, just voicing my frustration, guys, on execution. That's a bitch. Anyway, so that's IWM racing towards my target, as so many of my picks do. Even if I don't capitalize on it, people in our community tend to capitalize on those predictions. So, wow, look at BZAI. I want to talk about LightPath next.
Yeah, I want to talk about this as well because there was a question in the chat about GRRR. So tail of two.
Where do you want to go first, GRRR or BZAI?
Involved in data. Well, I'll do them in
Okay.
combination because look, GRRR is not a real company in my opinion. It is mostly smoke and mirrors. I have very little faith in the credibility of this company and their ability to actually turn these big contract wins headlines that they report. And they reported $1.4 billion contract win over 3 years to build data centers in Southeast Asia, with this partner. But, saying that the final details are subject to, definitive execution of the MOU, et cetera, et cetera. I shorted this, as I indicated in the Discord, on the pop over 20 just recently. On the other side of that, BZAI announced that they are in joint venture in the Middle East, specifically Saudi Arabia, for edge compute solutions with a local partner. This is a real company. These are real contracts. There was no dollar amount attached to that name this morning, but every time they announce another sort of a sales arrangement, as they have like this, it adds more and more credibility to the thesis that this should be a $10 stock. And there are credible analysts in the market, like DA Davidson, for example, with exactly those kind of targets. So yes, edge compute, physical AI is a really big theme. You've heard me hammer on that when it comes to names like LightPath, LPTH, OSS, MTech being the provider of both the hardware and software that goes into a lot of those wins. We saw that contract win this morning from LightPath.
Before you go there, I just want to BZAI, the technicals here, because I documented this yesterday and today also, that 360 and 4 are key levels, and it played out in pre-market perfectly. 360 to 399, just so uncanny how that happens. And again, I repeated those targets again for this morning. 360 happens to also be here, the 50-day moving average, which we've had trouble holding above. It's tried a couple of times. So it's battling that 360 with an RSI that's kind of reset in the midline here, not overbought, not oversold. So if you can get back above 360, you may be able to challenge that 4 again, maybe even today, intraday. So this is something I've been playing a little bit today. I'm stepping back in right now, actually. I just bought a 359, anticipating a break of 360 based on that news you just talked about this morning. And maybe we can have a strong push again towards $4 either today or tomorrow, or maybe right after the FOMC decision. Wow, look at LDI. This is insane. Look at that. Wowzers. I gotta sell a little bit here on this pop.
I think it's up over since the Godfather's alert this morning. It's up over 20% when he added at 406.
Yeah, taking a little bit more off the table here, but you know what? Everything I took off the table. What's that?
It's my largest position right now.
it was my largest position until I bought a lot of LPTH this morning. Unfortunately, I've been selling LDI and buying LPTH, and so far it hasn't quite worked out. We'll talk about LPTH in a second. But
we're
yeah,
still underperforming OPAD, Open, Air.
Oh, I'm sure.
All crap companies. So
yeah, at this point, so close to that 487. I think good chance we're going to be over 5 today. I think there's a good chance we're going to be over 5 today. The sell I'm doing is just in my trading account, trading around the core. So day trading around the swing.
Take some off the table makes sense here. Selling around core makes sense because we could get a sell-off. We could see the 10-year rise post the Fed and the yield curve steepen. That is a scenario.
And
so I'm doing the same. I'm trading here.
I'm going to sell. I'm going to also then sell some of my call options here. I have more call options. Let me see. This is the 350 expiring next week. I'm up about 40% on those, so I'm just going to sell some of those. But yeah, I think there's a good chance. I'm just playing the intraday volatility. I think there's a good chance we can be over 5, if not during regular session, by after hours. But LDI has made up for a lot of mistakes I've made in the last couple of days. Not firmly, but a little bit in the green now today after some missteps elsewhere. But yeah, it's getting late. We got to talk about LPTH, man. LPTH has been on our radar for news after news after news. All right, this is interesting. So LPTH, let me pull up the news feed on LPTH. The first time, well, I know there were people talking about this for a while. It was in my X. People pumping it, great. But then we got this $18.2 million order on September 3rd. Okay, that's when we first started getting involved. It was already kind of on my radar and was primed to move on it. Even though it was a closed green candle, we made good money on it that day. It pulled back, and then we made great money on it this day, September 15th, just a couple days ago, when they had an agreement with Ondas Holdings, ONDS, and UMAC, co-investing $8 million into LightPath. And that's second investment that Ondas and UMAC are doing together. The first one was for SPAI, and here's a second deal that they did together. LightPath, that's when you get that candle. And then 2 days later to this morning, another $22.1 million order, which they alluded to. Actually, when they first announced that 18 million order, they did say, and maybe this is why the stock is not exploding, they did say that it could be upgraded to up to 40 million, and that's exactly what happened. Got upgraded from that 18 million to 40 million. Maybe that's why it's a muted reaction. Maybe it was somewhat expected. But anyway, I did load into this today. It's not working yet. I'm down on LPTH right now. I have a higher average than here. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know where I stand on this. LightPath is up 115% since the beginning of June. It's been a fabulous performer. Yes, ONDS, MOB, and OUST have exceeded its returns. But if you look at this physical AI space, and I get that there are two things going on in the LightPath story. Not only are they winning these contracts on the camera side, but they're providing non-germanium solutions, which allows for thermal imaging in military applications. And they're a leader in that space, and germanium prices are going through the roof because China is squeezing on rare earths. So there's that element of the story as well. But the name that has really lagged all of this, and every time that LightPath wins a contract, understand that it is MTech that's providing the AI accelerators as well as the video compression, encoder, decoder, stitching technology. So software, combined software and hardware solution to LightPath. As well, OSS, pardon me, which is up 142% year, since the beginning of June, is the U.S. sales agent for MTech. MTech being
OSS, it's One Stop Systems.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just lastly on MTech, again, they reported their 6-month numbers August 28th last year. Here we are, September 17th, and we haven't seen a report out of them. It's going to be imminent. And at the last report, their top line revenues were growing over 50%. The gross margin improved by 82%. This thing is on the cusp of profitability. Cool. So, and of course, the real leverage there is on
the weekly.
Is in the listed warrants. And you can read all about this in our Discord.
You can read all about that. All right. Wow, look at that. Up 18%. You really nailed these warrants this week. Whoa. You were giving the alert to our Discord at 30 cents just like 2 days ago, right? 30 cents.
Well, there were a few people like Fritch that were listening. So
look, I didn't listen. Look at that. I got to listen to you more. Up, what is that? Like up 80% in a couple days. Holy smokes. Great job. But you know what you're talking about. So, you know, I'm a little bit late to the party. So I just listened to you. I got some shares at 350 on the comments.
If MTech goes to its peer valuations right now of those companies that I just mentioned, the stock is worth $8.70. The warrants under that scenario would go to 392. Okay, that's up 1,200% from here.
Nice.
So if you believe in my thesis on physical AI, and you believe that this, because it's an Israeli company and they report only every 6 months, and they haven't reported their 6-month numbers end of June yet, that there is potential upside from here, then you could really juice your returns by owning some warrants.
Nice. There you go. And so are you alluding there that you think LPTH is overvalued or doesn't deserve to move up further on this deal, or you just think MTech is just better?
Look, LPTH is trading at 5.2 times on an EV to sales basis on 2026. The average of the group is 5.8. Median. Does
that include this $40 million that they just got?
Yeah, that's factored in. So look, I like the story. I really like the germanium element to the story. I'm nothing against LPTH, but I'm just saying if you had to own just one, I would own MTech. I don't currently own LPTH, but yeah, look, I think that this physical AI theme, along with agentic AI, are two second derivative AI themes that are under recognized in this market. So the stock goes higher, OSS goes higher, MOB goes higher. BZAI goes higher, MTech goes higher.
MOB, the drone company?
Yeah, MOB is also involved in this space.
Wow, are you still in that? I sold that too. I sold it, man.
I'm not. I currently do not own MOB.
Yeah, interesting.
I've focused all of my energy in this space into BZAI and MTech, because BZAI is also trading at 3.3 times versus the group at almost double at 5.8.
Yeah. All right, cool. Great stuff. All right, Rhett, any thoughts on any of these stocks we just talked about?
Just one I want to mention is you good call on avoiding Lyft today. So thank you for that. Because I was looking at getting back in, but I didn't. I made a little bit of profit.
Yeah, unfortunately, both Godfather and I, the valuation was so compelling. I had it in my retirement account for a while, but I don't know when. There must have been some catalyst, and I gave up on it in my retirement, so that was a mistake. But yeah, they're a cash flow machine. Anyway,
don't feel bad, Ben.
Extremely cheaply to Uber.
Don't feel bad, Ben. I had Lyft calls for a long time, hoping for one of these pops above 20. They expired, I think, 2 months ago, and here we are today. So
happens to all of us. Yeah.
I'm with you, Ryan. Yeah, right, but wrong time frame.
Yep, exactly. That was exactly it. That's the risk you run with options. Good to see we're all over the target, though. Guys, really good stuff yet again here today. You guys continue to kill it. Really appreciate it. We're going to catch up with you next Wednesday, all right?
All right, thanks.
Take care.
Take care.
All right, that's Ben, Rhett, and the Godfather just getting it done as per usual here. Really good stuff from them as always. Be sure to follow them on Twitter too, by the way. Check out their Discord. Check out all of the really great stuff that we get from them. Really good stuff. Happy to work with them. All right, folks, we're going to Futures Fever next here, sending you over to Kevin. You don't have to do anything or go anywhere. I'm going to take care of it for you. Big day here today. Fed decision coming a little bit later. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused, and enjoy Futures Fever.